Weird ass shit. Hold on. Super weird. Oh, now everything want to work right. All right, you Rumble going now. All right, bet. I bet. Pin to the top, running it right back. Hold on, what's going on? Let me get my layout right. Swap Destiny swap. Full screen that bad boy. Oh damn, I done changed all my shit up. Come on, y'all. Stop it. Yeah, restream me like, nigga, get out of here with that shit. Why don't you talk about everything else everybody else talking about? Why you want to keep sharing this shit? We trying to be, we trying to make moves, and you trying to throw a monkey wrench in this shit. All right, back to this shit, because I got another one lined up after this one. O.J. Dyer, y'all.
We're not going to go along with it. We're going to stand up for our rights.
Standing up for your rights can mean a lot of things. But in today's world, one of the rights most people have already lost is privacy. Because your personal information doesn't just stay with the websites you give it to. It gets collected, packaged, and sold by data brokers, appearing on people's search sites and databases most people don't even know exist. That's why I use today's sponsor, Incogni. Incogni automatically scans for places where your personal information is exposed and sends legal removal requests to hundreds of data broker sites, and keeps repeating those requests so your data stays removed. And if you find a site that still has your information online, you can use Incogni's custom removal feature. Just send them the link and their team handles the rest. If you'd like to check it out, go to incogni.com/advice and use the code ADVICE to get 60% off annual plans. Now,
because it is most with the money mafia.
Now, back to the video.
We're going to start with the money mafia because it's the most urgent issue in the world today. The problem with the money situation is that there's only about one person in every 100 who really understands it. And there's some, we think of money in some esoteric way of we wishing, of course, we've had more. But it's a little complex.
Hey guys, Emma, billions of dollars and only paid.
Even someone else said the same thing, that the system is too complex to understand. Take a look.
But what I found was most people, what be it in business.
Let's see who I see. Oh, Jeffrey, little Jeffy.
In normal life or in the world leaders, don't really understand money. It is something they think about. They have a sense of what it is. They certainly want more of it. But they also make statements like, we want more money, but we don't want more debt, which just shows a misunderstanding of what money at its core really is. So most people don't, they want to make it, they want to save it, but to understand it.
American business, what's the business? Yee!
Intimately is not a normal character.
Money first, then everything else falls into place. Stay with me, because this part is key to understanding the bigger picture.
It's just as a result of a
I had to
system.
restart the whole stream because This shit was acting crazy. Every time I be trying to play this kind of shit, something be going on with my internet. That's alright, because I'm going to come right back with it. What you going to do? Ban my account? Give a damn.
Which has grown up, which is designed to take us to the cleaners. And something can be done about it, must be done about it.
Now the explanation begins. And trust me, every piece
That's why I got my backup rumble. Dusty bitches.
matters. They all connect. So listen carefully.
So let's try to learn. What is money? Well, most people don't know. It used to be coins, silver, gold, copper, and some iron coins. But of course, we got too busy and too big to be able to do that. If you're going to buy a house, you can't put a bag and pay for it. And so we started.
I use this one because it lets me dual stream without paying this shit. I ain't paying for this shit if it ain't paying me. The only reason I put some money in these little stream platforms is if it's on some get back, then I'll pay for it. But I'm not paying for shit that ain't paying me.
Using paper money. And at first it was backed by some coins or things, and later, of course, it wasn't.
Oh, and this shit don't limit you at 20 hours a month on the free shit. It give you unlimited. So I deal with the little niches and glitches and shit.
But over the years, the system has changed to the point where today, only about 3% of all money is either coins or paper. 97% is virtual, and virtual means computer entry.
Money is just data now, which leads to the most important question of all. Who controls the data?
The first and probably the brightest of the governors of the Bank of Canada said that money was just a book entry.
That's what I tell people. It makes sure you have some physical assets, so your money ain't just data, and they can just snatch your shit, cut it off, tell you where you can and can't shop. Your money, your digital currency is no good here, type of shit. Keep some physical assets, please.
If he were alive today, he'd say money is just a computer entry. Well, the problem is, whose computers? And that's where we have to do something about it.
But whose computers? You've heard it a million times. Follow the money. And coming from a former defense minister, it's worth at least hearing him out.
We, the people, own the patent to create money. We have licensed private individuals to do it for us. And they now create 97% of all the money, but they create all of it as debt, and debt on which interest has to be paid, and no one creates any money with which to pay the interest, so you just keep going further and further and further into debt. The whole system is mathematically absurd. It's more insane than insane, if that's possible.
Before we go further, let's take a step back. This didn't appear overnight. It started somewhere. And to understand where we are, we have to understand where it all began.
I want to just give you a bit of a background on the history of the system is multiplied and what we call bank leverage. If we go back 300 years when the Bank of England was chartered, they lent half of their money or all of their capital, their gold and silver, to the king at 8%. So he gave them a license to print, PRINT amount, and lend
That's it in the chat.
it to their rich friends at high interest. So in effect, they were allowed to lend the same capital twice.
Now, we've all heard about printing money, inflation, the Federal Reserve. It's not exactly news. And sure, it doesn't sound great. But wait until you hear how he connects the dots. Because those connections, let's just say they're eye-opening.
But to understand, most people have the myth, observe the myth, that if you go to the bank to borrow money to buy a car, that what they're lending you is somebody deposit that somebody else made the day before or a couple of days before. Not so. They create the money. They're pretty well lent out all the time. So if you go in and say to buy a car for $35,000, and what they'll do is ask you for collateral, and if you have some stocks or bonds, okay, or failing that, you can give them a second mortgage on your house or your cottage, and if you can't do any of those things, you can get co-signature of a rich relative. And once they're satisfied with the collateral, then they'll have you sign a note for $35,000, repayable principal and interest at prime plus, 2 or 3%, depending on the color of your eyes. As soon as they're satisfied, they tap their computer, and $35,000 appears in your account.
Depending on the color of your eyes, sound like some cold as shit if I ever heard it.
Go out and spend. Seconds earlier, that money did not exist. It was created out of thin air.
So that money didn't exist until the moment you borrowed it. But here's the funny thing. You still pay taxes when you buy something, then taxes when you own it, then taxes when you sell it. Taxes on top of taxes. It's almost like we're renters on our own planet, and the landlord always collects. Makes you think about the system we've all just accepted, doesn't it?
And as a result of that borrowing, we have paid $1,100 billion in interest since 1974, none of it which was necessary, none.
He just gave you the number for Canada. The US is sitting on $34 trillion in debt. Most of the world is in the red. But have you ever asked yourself, who's on the other side of that debt? Who are we paying? If you don't have a clear answer, you're not alone. So stay with me, because now he starts connecting everything.
Because it is all part of something bigger that's going on in the world, and that is to take away power from the people and give it to multinational corporations and banks who are under the control of what I call the cabal. And this is part of a grander scheme.
Maybe he's just an angry former politician with conspiracy theories. Or maybe he has insights that we don't. Either way, this is what he's saying.
Now this is being engineered, as I said, by an international cabal. Now what is a cabal? Is a group of...
Hey, yo, what's happening, Quinn Perky? Salute. Welcome to the live stream.
People with the banking cartel at the apex, then the oil cartel, and then the international corporations, the transnational corporations, and then the U.S. Intelligence organizations, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, a huge chunk of the American military. And they're all in it together.
He makes a lot of claims here. And look, I don't know if it's true. I don't have that kind of access. But it does raise a question. Why would all these groups be in it together? What's the goal? That's where things get really interesting, and where his claims become harder to dismiss.
As President Clinton said in response to a question by White House reporter Sarah McClendon, he replied, and I quote, "Sarah, there is a government inside the government, and I don't control it." Can you imagine?
Maybe from time to time we all get little clues like this one, and they say a lot, don't they? When a president says something of that caliber, even offhand, you have to ask, if he's not really in charge, then who is?
They control the free energy that we need. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that or not, but the same cabal owns the patents to free energy. And there are several different ways of going about that, but the most likely is what they call zero-point energy. It's the energy that's everywhere in the cosmos. It's unlimited. It could have been there long ago if it hadn't been for the fact that these people who are in control don't want to see any change.
He makes a strong claim about free energy, that we could have had it long ago. Whether you believe it or not, what comes next connects to something that affects every one of us. See what you think.
Well, the cabal is also responsible for the war on... The cabal is also, AKA, military-industrial complex. Dr. Carol Rosen, a friend of mine, worked with Dr. Werner von Braun, who was one of the scientists who came to work in the United States at the end of the war and who mellowed as he got older and said the industrial military complex has to have an enemy to justify all of this money they're spending on. So they have to have an enemy, and if they don't have one, they have to manufacture one.
That's a lot to take in, and I don't know what to make of it. But here's where he shifts from theory to something more immediate. A warning about what's still to come and why we should pay attention.
After they get through with the, if they ever do, is to stage a mock attack in order to get the people of the United States to accept martial law as the onset of the new.
Guys, what's interesting is that recently, and I mean really recently, Obama was on a podcast and started saying things like this. Listen to this.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
And then almost immediately, Trump reacted, almost reinforcing what Obama affirmed. Here's what he said.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Well,
he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information.
Strange times. But Paul is not over yet, because he still has something to say to us.
Happily, some of us are beginning to talk about that sort of thing, and people are saying, "You're kidding me," and I said, "No, I'm not kidding you. But if it happens, just say, wave at them, and say, we know you're playing games with us, and we're not going to go along with it. We're going to stand up for our rights." Maybe
none of this is real. Maybe he went down the rabbit hole years ago and never came back. Or maybe he's right. But how could we ever prove it? He makes so many claims and most of them are impossible to verify. So where does that leave us? Confused, skeptical, unsure what to believe. But then there comes the part that resonated with me. The part I actually believe is true. Listen.
There was a time when Americans feared God, and we did too, but in the post-war period, we have worshipped money. Money, power, and greed. And those have been the operative words. And so we think of nothing else. How can you make another buck? We have to change. And there's some wonderful things that are going on. There's some wonderful people in the world who are doing wonderful things, and more power to them. But what they need is the same thing 1,000 times over. We have to have a tsunami, as I call it, of changed lives, of people who are willing to put their lives on the line for what they believe and to change the world.
What role in the Middle East again does Israel play in this?
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that will be so terrible, where nuclear weapons will be used, so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. And what is the answer to that? They're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity and government.
Right.
Now I'm telling you, unless the American people wake up and stop it, starting in about 1996, the Battle of Armageddon will become a reality.
He laid out the blueprint for everything we're seeing today. He knew why it had to happen, he knew who was behind the curtain, and he knew what we should expect next.
Read the book of Revelations, whether you believe in the book or not. Men who are bringing this about are using it as their script.
This interview was recorded in 1992, and as you listen...
Shit, I'll tell you, that shit I say all the time. They playing out, that's like this screenplay, they playing it out in real time.
You'll understand why his blueprint still matters today. Because he said it would all unfold exactly like this, down to the smallest detail of the script.
And I get people who still come to me all the time and say, "Bill, you're all wrong, it's the Jews. The Jews are subverting the world." Man, it's not the Jews, it's not the Catholics, it's not the blacks. It's these men who belong to the ancient mystery schools, who meet in secret and decide the fate of the world. And they belong to all different races and all different nationalities and all different religions to the public point of view. But in secret, it's a different story.
He claimed the fate of billions rest in the hands of a small group of people. And their strategy, he said, is simple. Keep us so we never look behind the curtain.
At the highest levels of all countries, they all belong to the same club. And we, the people, sit back and we watch this grand drama which is being played out for our benefit, not theirs. If it wasn't for us, they wouldn't even have to do any of this. But you see, they just can't come out and destroy all of us because they need slaves. They need people to make their shoes and makers and mine the ore. They need worker bees, and that's what we are.
His name is Bill Cooper, and what you're about to hear is his warning to the world. He believed that if you don't spare the time to hear this message to the end, if you don't make the effort to understand it and finally wake up, then you're participating in the Great Deception just as much as they are. His words, not mine.
George Orwell was just like me. He was a low-level member of British intelligence who was appointed to a position high enough where he saw the same documents that I saw. And he tried to warn the world just like I'm trying to warn the world, only he wasn't willing to take the risk that I'm willing to take. So he wrote it in a book called 1984 and spelled out exactly what's coming as a warning to the people of the world, as a work of fiction. But you notice that that work of fiction really stirred people up because they knew that it wasn't fiction. In their heart of hearts, everyone who's read that book knows that it's coming.
Here's what Orwell understood. Control doesn't happen overnight. First you distract, then you divide, then you rewrite the rules so people don't even know.
I share this shit. This ain't about fear mongering. It's all about awareness. This is why I be playing this shit. I don't think Bill Cooper is...
Who said it's about fear mongering?
What? No, I'm just saying. In general. A lot of people say there's no one person that says that shit. There's a lot of people that be like, y'all be over fear, y'all be fear mongering and shit. No, I ain't about fear mongering. This is about awareness. Because I find it funny that everybody want to talk about the fact that you had these people that colonized the country and did this and then did that, and then all of a sudden they just stopped doing it and there's no more conquest. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be aware. Like, you can't be unaware of the times, man. So I keep this shit front and center. I'm telling motherfuckers who need to get it.
Right. My issue.
They're being controlled.
Go ahead.
My issue was in the beginning where they're talking about, oh, we had to come over here and stop everything going on in America. Why the hell did you come over here? What was there to stop if there was nothing here? There was a bunch of primitive Mongolians running around. And, but you just told on yourself. There was a full, established, advanced empire over here. That's why you had to come over here and sabotage it.
They needed the technology.
Yeah, he said the technology, everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they just told on themselves. And who were those people? So now that we can't be deported, we were those people. This is a huge scam, and I'm sick of it.
I don't think Bill Cooper is British intelligence. It was another dude at the beginning. See, this dude been running down all these different fellas, and they all saying the same thing, the same message. If they are
foreign, they are a part of it, and they don't even have to. They don't have to even look foreign. They can be foreign and look like us.
Oh yeah, that's it. No.
This is just like a huge coup d'etat. Like, Everybody's in on it. The only ones who aren't in on it are the ones who are the subject of the attack. Like, that's crazy. Why would, and then he admitted, like how I've been saying, America was feeding the world. We had connections with all of them. They knew us, they knew we were here, they knew what was going on, but they couldn't get control over this food basket that we have here.
They got it now. And
or do they?
They got
they're
it.
They're scared of something.
They scared of enough people waking up to their shit. You gotta remember their goal is to reduce the population to 500 million. So that ain't just niggas.
Oh, they have a live action cells at work. That sounds quite harmful things. Everybody cells at work.
Oh, or that's what he said. I missed that part.
What, the Orwellian?
Yeah, he said Orwell is like me, a low British intelligence. Now, it was another dude, John Coleman, that was MI6 British intelligence cat at the beginning of this video that was talking about it. Basically, it's all like most of the shit they saying is the same shit Alex Jones be saying. And I know he be quoting that 1984 shit, that Orwell shit all the time.
But they're putting it across way different than Alex Jones. It's hard to follow him. He's such a buffoon.
Like I said, like I was telling you, I think Alex Jones was a replacement. Was a replacement for these collective.
A bigger clown for their circus.
Right. A better actor to take the attention away from all these different dudes that's talking about this plan, this plot.
Hold your horses, you scarecrow.
Damn, what you got going on over there? Let me get back to this video.
My kids.
1984 showed us the final destination. A world where nothing is true and everything is permitted except for those in power. For decades, that was just fiction. But now, more and more of the pieces are fitting together. The scenarios that were once ridiculed are beginning to look like the morning news.
Why is it that you are here today, or how is it that you are here today and you're not, taken away and put in a padded cell somewhere so that you can't speak of these things?
I can tell you this. I began to reveal information in 1976, and I was physically attacked on 2 occasions. My skull was caved in. That's what all these scars are here. On the second attack, I lost my leg. They visited me in the hospital. They had no intention of killing me. They were delivering a message to me. Shut up. And that was the message that came through loud and clear. And 2 men who identified themselves with identification cards who belonged to the Defense Investigative Service, which is really the Defense Intelligence Agency, asked me if I was going to shut up or they were going to have to do it right. And I told them, I said, you don't have to worry about me. I'm going to be a good little boy, and I'm going to shut my mouth. And I did for 16 years.
Hey, yo, the panel open. Y'all can jump up here if you want.
Kept silent until I saw this.
You can talk conspiracies all day and people will just ridicule you, call you paranoid. But when you start talking about what you're not supposed to, that's when they come after you. At least that's what Bill said in the full interview. But now, he's starting to say things that really make you pause. Look at the pattern. Why does every piece connect? If it's all just coincidence, why does it keep happening? Listen to this.
Either these men are following the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation is in the Bible. They're either following it, just like a plan, and bringing the prophecies in there to pass to manipulate and control those who believe in those prophecies and neutralize them, so to speak. In other words, if this is written in the Bible and God has ordained it, who am I to resist? It must come to pass, so I'm not gonna try to stop it.
Okay.
What a perfect way to neutralize the opposition right off the bat. Or there really is a God, and what he said was going to come to pass is coming to pass. And I named this, Behold a Pale Horse, from chapter 13 of the book of Revelations. The fourth horseman of the apocalypse is the pale horse. And I looked, and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat upon him was Death. And hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with the beasts of the earth.
Now, look at the four horsemen. Revelation 6 describes...
It's crazy. When I was an adolescent, I had a vision of that. And I had no idea.
What was that?
I had a vision of somebody on the horse with a bunch of people standing around. And looked like a bunch of, like, everybody had no skin. It was like melted. And even the dude on the horse, I had this vision when I was probably 11, 12, maybe 12, somewhere around there. And I had no knowledge of the book of Revelations and none of that.
White, red, black, and pale. The Greek word for pale is chloros, greenish, the color of death. Some point to the red horse, war, as already writing. The black horse comes next. Famine, collapse. The verse describes inflated prices, scarcity. Some suggest it could be approaching. Revelation 13 describes a world where no one can buy or sell without a mark. Today, central bank digital currencies are rolling out globally. Is it the mark?
Did he skip to 12? Hold on. Wait a minute.
A is chloros.
Fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with the beasts of the earth.
Now, look at the four horsemen. Revelation 6 describes white, red, black, and pale. The Greek word for pale is chloros, greenish, the color of death. Some point to the red horse, war, as already writing. The black horse comes next. Famine, collapse. The verse describes inflated prices, scarcity. Some suggest it could be approaching. Revelation 13 describes a world where no one can buy or sell without a mark. Today, central bank digital currencies are rolling out globally. Is it the mark? No one can say. But the technology described? It's being built. Whether you believe it or not, some in power clearly do. Commanders quote Revelation, leaders invoke scripture. Bill Cooper said they're following a script. Look at the pattern. Something is lining up.
Everything that's in my book, Behold a Pale Horse, is everything in here, all the documents that are in here, everything that's in this book is in the public domain.
Can be substantiated?
Yes, and I intentionally wrote this book not using anything that wasn't available to the public, to show people that yes, if I can find this information, so can you. I have tons of stuff that's not available to the public. But as you can see by reading this book, you don't need that stuff because it's what you need is available to you. Public libraries are overflowing with the proof of what's really going on in the world, but nobody really utilizes it to the extent that they're able to pick this out and put it together. Another thing I've done for people is I've put it together for them so that they can see the overall picture rather than looking at small things and thinking that it's isolated. Nothing is isolated. It's all part of a big puzzle.
Why is it that we can hear something this important and still forget it by tomorrow? Maybe we don't want to believe. Maybe we're scared. But I think it's something else. We're numb. Life grinds us down. Work, stress, the endless scroll. It all adds up. And then we turn on the news, hoping to understand. But instead we get noise. distortion, confusion. And that numbness becomes a habit, a survival mechanism. But what if that's exactly what some are counting on?
All the media in this country, radio, television, and print, is all owned by 5 corporations. All of these corporations that own the media are owned and controlled, and members of the Council on Foreign Relations sit on their board of directors. But you can trace that yourself.
Okay.
Remember, if you go down and you trace the ownership of a station or a newspaper and you get to a corporation, remember that somebody owns that corporation, and it's usually another corporation. But when you trace the interlocking of all these things, when you get to the top, there's 5. And all journalists know that there's some things you don't write about and you don't talk about because you'll lose your job. And that's where the control is.
Let's try it, shall we? Pick a news network, any network. Let's start with CNN. On your phone, type, "Who owns CNN?" You'll see it's owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. Good. Now type, "Who owns Warner Brothers Discovery?" In 2026, that's changing. Warner Brothers Discovery just signed a deal to be acquired by Paramount for over $110 billion. Now type, "Who owns Paramount?" Paramount was bought last year by Skydance Media, and Skydance Media is led by David Ellison. Now type, "Who is David Ellison?" He's the son of Larry Ellison, founder of Oracle, one of the richest men in the world. But keep going. Who runs CBS News? CBS is owned by Paramount, and the editor-in-chief of CBS News? Barry Weiss. She was appointed after the Skydance acquisition. Now here's the thing. Cooper said all media is owned by 5 corporations. That was decades ago. Today, the names change, but the pattern doesn't. You start with a news network, you end with a billionaire. And that billionaire, always connected to power. Try it yourself. Pick any network, any platform. Follow the chain, see where it ends. You might be surprised how fast you get to the same place. Let's continue, because this next part is about us.
That's why they pay athletes these fantastic salaries. I was listening to the radio the other day. They just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman circus. What does the emperor do when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum, and he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus. I know men who don't know anything in the world except who plays third base for the Mets, and they think that's a great accomplishment, and they meet and pat each other on the back and bond and go have cocktails and talk about what this guy that plays third base for the Mets did in last night's game. It's sad. It's really sad.
Juvenal, the Roman poet, said it almost 2,000 years ago. The people who once handed out military commands, high offices, everything, now restrains itself and anxiously hopes for just 2 things: bread and circuses. Bread and circuses. Today, the bread is your paycheck. The circus is the game. And while we're glued to the screen cheering for millionaires we never met, decisions are being made somewhere else, by people we'll never see. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. History shows that a society obsessed with entertainment often becomes easier to control. As long as we're watching, we're not asking. As long as we're cheering, we're not challenging. And as long as we're numb, they stay in power.
But let me tell you something. When 150 of the most powerful men and women in the world can meet in secret in Baden-Baden, Germany, and plot the fate of billions, and nobody even cares about it. But 6 football players go to lunch together, and it's in the headlines across the country. You have a reflection of the society in which that exists, society that is doomed to self-destruction.
So based on that scenario, there's some truth into what these men are looking at.
Absolutely, and that's what makes me so sick, is that I'm trying to wake up a people who on a daily basis are proving the ones that I'm warning them about to be right.
Be honest. When was the last Davos meeting? And what exactly was proposed there? Most of us couldn't answer that because we don't care. We have TikTok, we have Instagram, we have Netflix, we have our own lives, bills, work, relationships. Who has time to track what 150 powerful people discuss in a Swiss mountain town?
All these distractions, and they sit there and tell you exactly what they plan is.
And even if we watch a video about it, we forget it in seconds. The next scroll, the next notification, the next distraction. That's exactly what Cooper was talking about. While we're busy living our lives, decisions that affect our future are being made elsewhere. And most of us are simply too distracted to notice.
The right track is don't believe anybody. Don't believe me. Don't believe George Bush. Don't believe anyone. You got to go out and you got to get proof in your hand before you can believe anything. And to do otherwise today is the biggest mistake that anyone can ever make. You begin believing people, putting your trust in them, that they're telling you the truth. I guarantee you're going to take a ride on a roller coaster you don't want to be on.
Do your own research. Don't jump in the comments and ask, so what do we do now? I'm telling you, use your mind. Because even these videos, they're not here to feed you conspiracy theories. They're here to engage you, to wake things. Critical thinking is the point. It's better to put your mind to work than to wait for information to be handed to you. Because what if all the information out there is wrong? What then? We have to go back to the roots, back to what we know is good, what we know is wrong. That inner compass, it's still there. We just stopped using it.
Now, do these people recognize the continuity of life? In other words, you have told me earlier that they're after physical immortality.
They believe that through their technology, man will become God. It's power of reason. Through technology, man will himself become God. They will engineer, just like he wanted to do, the super race who will live forever. And the concept is the same, and the men behind it are the same as was.
Bill said more than 30 years ago that they would reach for immortality through technology. Back then, it probably sounded absurd. But now, look at what's happening. Neuralink has successfully implanted brain chips in multiple patients. One man used it to play chess just by thinking. Scientists at Harvard and MIT are working on age reversal technologies. Clinical trials are underway for drugs that could add decades to human life. The CEO of OpenAI said recently that we might achieve human-level AI within a few years. And after that, merging human intelligence with machines is the next logical step. Whether you believe that or not, it's hard to ignore that we're moving in that direction faster than anyone predicted.
No matter what your religion is or what you think, they're following the scenario in the book of Revelations to a T, right down to the last little bit. If you want to know what's going to happen in the future, if we don't wake up, and through the power of those, see, not one drop of blood ever has to be spilled, and no one has to ever put any chains on their legs or their arms, ever. If people just wake up and exercise what was given to us in our Constitution, the power of the vote, while we still have that power.
So you say there is still a possibility for like one individual watching this tape to actually make a difference?
You better believe it.
How would that be so?
Well, number one, learn what the truth really is. Get away from the fantasy that you've been living. Educate other people, those you know, your family. Once that begins to happen, it spreads. And then if the people decide that they don't want what they have in store for us planned, just through the power of the vote, they can make this country and the world whatever they want it to be. Whatever they want it to be.
Now
and there are no limits.
Now that's cap with that vote shit.
Except to understand that you can never make everything
Sure
all
is.
right, and you can never make
But
everything all
something is
bad.
right. Something is true
Both
that
must
he's saying.
exist, and we must.
Yeah, he sprinkled that vote shit in there. That's cap. The vote is unification and force. You're not gonna talk.
The vote is consent. The vote is consent from the people.
There you go. That's a good way to put it.
And we the people. That's why they only come after our vote.
You know who they pander to every election cycle?
Maintain a balance.
If you stayed until now, you're probably one of those who's awake. Or at least, you're willing to be. And that comes with a responsibility. Be responsible with your mind. Use critical thinking. Bill said it himself. Don't believe him. Don't believe us. Believe what you can prove, what you can verify. But you have to do the work. You have to research. You have to stay awake. Because if you stay awake, others around you might wake up too. And that's how things change. Now, Bill has a final message for us. So, whoever has ears to hear, let them hear.
By abdicating responsibility, by not walking in that divine state of grace, makes possible anyone meeting behind closed doors to bring about the world that they want. And the world that they want may not be the world that you want, or that I want, or that these people watching might want.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't participate, you can't complain. If you don't help cook the meal, you got no right to bitch about it. You got to sit down and eat what's put on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like that, then you should have been in the kitchen helping to prepare the meal, helping to plan it, helping to prepare it, helping to serve it. If you want to sit on your butt in the living room while somebody else prepares the meal for you and decides what it's going to be and puts it on the table, it's too late to say that's not what you wanted to eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's too late to say it's not cooked the way you wanted it to cook.
Well, that's very simple to understand. And
that's right. You got to eat it because you have to eat to live.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that anybody can understand the meaning behind that little story.
If this was predicted 27 years ago, somebody knew something.
Buckle up, because what you're about to hear is scary. Back in 1997, a group of futurists funded by a Washington, D.C. think tank and several three-letter government agencies wrote a book.
Ain't nobody scared, buddy.
About what the world might look like in the future. And when you look at what they predicted back then, it's disturbingly accurate.
Now.
Yeah, I've seen that movie. I got one of the masks in my truck.
But one thing that is ringing true is that there is a God. Like, that's what this is proving. There is a God.
You get no argument from me.
And they are really setting up to have a war against God.
Are you in a public place?
No, I walked away to a little sitting area in my house, but they're so loud you can still hear them.
It's Friday night. They get live.
Yeah, they so.
They extra. Read all about it.
And that's just two of them.
I think this video finna get juicy.
Juicy.
This is the title of the book. 2025. Scenarios of U.S. and global society reshape. There's that re again. By
look like in the future. And when you look at what they predicted back,
Predicted 27 years ago, somebody knew something.
Buckle up, because what you're about to hear is scary. Back in 1997, a group of futurists funded by a Washington, D.C. think tank and several three-letter government agencies wrote a book about what the world might look like in the future. And when you look at what they predicted back then, it's disturbingly accurate.
Now, this is the title of the book, 2025, Scenarios of U.S. and Global Society Reshaped, there's that re again, by Science and Technology. You know what's so fascinating about this? It was published 27 years ago in the year 1997, and it was funded, well funded, by a Washington, D.C. think tank and three-letter government agencies. But here's the thing, 1997, 27 years ago, and they write a book about a 502-page book about what the world's going to be.
A 500-page book filled with dozens of predictions. And according to some estimates, nearly 90% of them seem to match what eventually happened. And the ones that haven't happened yet may be closer than we think. Because the remaining predictions go into things like World War III, mass starvation, global crisis, and much more. But instead of me going through the list, let's hear this gentleman explain it himself. Because this is actually how I first became aware of it while watching one of his videos.
Okay, you ready for the list? Fast mutating viral disease pandemics, genetically developed vaccines, smart IDs, 1997, and this is, you can do the word search and research yourself. They predicted not 2025, but by 2020, that people would be working from home virtually. Come on, listen, that's World War III, of course. Nuclear devices causing widespread contamination. Nanotech devices, this stuff was never even heard of. Digital currency. Vaccination programs run by organizations like the World Health Organization for a global killer that has yet to emerge. First printing, February 1997.
The book is real. You can find it, you can read it, and these are not some far-fetched interpretations. Now, I would like to believe they're not right about everything, but we'll see. What we're going to focus on instead are the most important predictions that haven't happened yet, because we already know what took place. What's far more interesting is what this book says might still be coming. So let's start.
I want to now share with you some of the insights that these guys had way back in the mid-90s. Again, this is a well-connected think tank in D.C. They are funded and engaged with the wealthy corporations, the ruling class, the National Security Agency. And in 1997, they published this book, creatively titled 2025. And check this out. In the acknowledgments we read, our first thank you is to the sponsors, the people, and the organizations who made possible the original Project 2025 from which this book was created. What did they call it? It was called Project 2025? This book was published in 1997.
The project itself was led by futurist James Canton, an advisor in technology, national security, and economic forecasting. But what really raises eyebrows is the acknowledgments section in the book, because the authors openly thank the organizations that helped fund the original research behind it. Large corporations, technology companies, defense contractors, policy institutions. The kind of organizations that don't just observe trends, but often influence the direction of technology and policy. So the question becomes, were these simply educated guesses? Or were they looking at plans already being discussed behind closed doors? Either way, let's take a look at what they predicted.
10 things to expect if this Project 2025 from the mid-90s turns out to be correct about the remaining items that have not yet transpired. And before I list them, I want to remind us, these are not just, throw in a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I mean, it's like 90% track record here. But, and they may not be right about all these either, but here we go.
Now brace yourselves, because if what you're about to hear ever becomes reality, things could get very ugly. Let's hope they got this part wrong, but listen to this.
They said we will have World War III, a nuclear device causing widespread contamination, additional epidemics, cyber attacks, or in their world, computer-based socially significant crime, such as tampering with air traffic control or national security systems, a global currency, mass starvation. Now that, in and of itself, that's pretty heavy that we just considered, but given again the track record, and how the things that they're announcing here, you also hear announced by the likes of Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and Jesuit Tide. We're going to see some pretty interesting stuff as we go forward, but we're just on Project 2025 from the 90s right now. Let's look first at the mass starvation. I was mentioning Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, WEF. He stated, we're going to have an angrier world. In the context of food and energy scarcity, we are going to have an angrier world. Those are his words. And so when he talks about an angrier world, and in the same interview, Klaus says that this angrier world will be because of economic conditions, and that's why I see the need for a great reset. In fact, roll that clip right now, please.
We have to prepare for a more angry world, and I see the need for action. I see the need for a great reset.
When you start looking around today, some of these ideas don't feel as far away as they once did. Conversations about global crisis, food shortages, cyber warfare, they're no longer just theory. The World Economic Forum often discusses scenarios involving systemic shocks, digital infrastructure attacks, and the need for a reset of the global system. You hear similar language from government reports, economic forums, and international policy meetings. The idea that a large cyber attack could disrupt entire countries, or that supply chains could collapse and trigger food shortages, is something even officials now discuss publicly. And when you see these same themes appearing again and again, it makes you wonder, were these futurists simply connecting the dots ahead of time? Or were they closer to the people drawing the map in the first place?
There is a Obama-produced film, a movie, that came out called Leave the World Behind. Why did the Obamas get behind this film? The film, I won't be able to tell you that, but I can tell you what the film is about. It's about an apocalyptic scenario after the grid fails and there's a grid down crisis because of cyber attacks. And this comes out, again, right before 2025. And then you go back to 2014 with the release of a video game, which also has scripts like movies do. And this Black Ops 2, major prominent video game, the script writers for it were consulting with that the Wall Street Journal calls the premier futurist in the national security space. So the top Pentagon futurist was consulted for the script on this video game. And what is the script for the video game? Well, the object of the game is to prevent a cyber attack in the context of a new Cold War with China. And guess what year this video game is set? And again, this came out in 2014, and the video game is set in 2025. So we're starting to see kind of a pattern here, are we not?
But isn't it a little strange, that film produced by the Obamas? I mean, why that topic? And why now? And why do we keep hearing about these kinds of scenarios more and more often? Every now and then, authorities even suggest that people keep some emergency cash at home, enough for about 72 hours, just in case ATMs or payment systems suddenly stop working. So you start to...
People really could, people could be getting gaslit. Yeah, I played that game. Yeah, I played that game. I've been seeing a lot of, it's some different Call of Duty games too, with a lot of shit that's, yeah, that shit crazy. I'm supposed to be getting up out of NATO. How Trump supposed to be taking the U.S. out of the WHO. And maybe it's all gaslight. Because it's hard for me to understand or go against the fact that presidents ain't elected, they selected. Ugh.
Wonder, what's really going on here? Maybe it's all just coincidence. I don't know.
We look at World War III, and we look at their predictions that a nuclear device causing widespread contamination will take place. This might sound outlandish, but keep in mind that since 1945, with the invention and using of the first atomic bomb, there have been, in Cold War history, 16 near-miss nuclear events. And historians and national security experts estimate that about 1%, you have about a 1% chance in any given year of having a nuclear exchange. A 1% chance, then over a 100-year period of time, you'd expect it once. If you get halfway through that, you feel like, we're living on borrowed time. Well, we're like 80% of the way through a 100-year period of time since 1945. So it's hard to expect the unexpected. It's hard to foresee that which our normalcy bias doesn't allow us to see as potentials. We lose imagination because we see only the thing immediately in front of us. But this is something that the Project 2025 futurists are saying to expect. And again, we see war.
I'm hip, Copper Goddess. Is that also gaslighting? The world is a stage. Maybe that's a good way to keep the air quote Americans from revolting. Let's put this man in here and let him talk shit to. I remember that shit. I played it. I think I played that shit before when he was talking shit to them people. Talking greasy. It could all be a play.
Epidemics, starvation. Let's do it in the proper order from the Bible again. War, starvation, epidemics. The 6 that are up there from that pale horse.
God forbid something like that ever happens. I really hope they got this one wrong. But sometimes it almost feels like the scriptures are right on point. Now, here are the last 4 predictions we're supposed to expect. Listen to this.
Now, the last 4 predictions that they make here, we got 10 things to expect if they're correct. Universal monitoring of business transactions. Smart ID cards. Now, watch this. This gets even more interesting. Smart ID cards, including your religious and or organizational affiliations and perhaps with your genomic data. I had to take a picture of that segment out of the book, put it on the screen so you can read it for yourself. Identification cards will be universal. Smart cards will contain information such as nationality, medical history, perhaps even key data from one's genome, education and employment records, financial accounts, social security, credit status, and even religious and organizational affiliations.
Yo, that part right there is deep. Is that when that get down and lay down shit come? You know what I'm saying? And in the book of Revelations, off with your head shit. Oh shit.
Now that might sound a little far-fetched, but remember, this book was written almost 30 years ago, and many of its predictions have already happened.
Anybody remember years ago the reports of the military buying hundreds of thousands of guillotine blades and shit? I ain't forgot about that shit. I don't know if any of y'all ever heard of it, but I ain't forgot.
And the coffins. They bought all those coffins.
Yeah, that they call it coffin liners and shit. And the Trump administration just amped up the detention centers. They call them immigrant detention centers, like $45 billion. They installing all kind of crazy shit. There's some weird shit going on. Got to be aware of the times.
And you heard him mention Jesuits.
Did he?
Yeah. And who went to Jesuit school?
You experience it. This is the role that
Trump.
Did he?
Yep.
During Episode 6, I'll say, there, Spielberg took safety to
You see him put out them pictures and shit, acting like he's Jesus and shit.
Yeah, and they made him take them down.
Hey, and
I was gonna send it to you, but I didn't want to,
but
overwhelm you.
I also seen that where it was like some prominent Israeli the rabbis and shit was pretty much calling him Jesus and shit. Like they didn't call him Jesus, they called him the Messiah.
Well, that's their Messiah.
Which is nuts. Damn. Somebody break some glass over there?
Not right now. Earlier.
Somebody drop a drawer full of silverware or something.
That's TV.
Get the mute. This is crazy.
Before we dismiss the rest, listen to this.
The ninth one kind of sounds innocuous and not that big of a deal. It's just Social Security will be based on need only. The technical term for that is means testing for transfer payments or other forms of welfare. Means testing meaning only those who need it will get it, and they're making a prediction that will be the case with Social Security. Some people might be have their feathers ruffled by that notion, but I'm not meaning to get into the economic political debates about that. I want to bring this out because if they will means test it, then they will also be willing to take the next step, and that is ideological testing. Happened with the truckers in Canada. Bank accounts frozen. The targeted group, anybody who is the other, who is the demonized group of the day, can have now the precedent has been set in the West to be debanked, to have payment processors taken, to be prohibited from platforms that are kind of in that woke ideology at the moment. And so the fact that they're saying, well, you're not going to get your check unless you need it, that can step right next to the next stop on that journey toward tyranny. You're not going to get your food. You're not going to be provided for in a context of scarcity and famine.
Now, I don't even know which one is scarier, because honestly, all of them are terrifying. But it does seem to be getting clearer, doesn't it? They wrote about things like this almost 30 years ago, and today we keep seeing the same themes everywhere, in movies and video games. Some people call it predictive programming, the idea that certain scenarios are introduced in culture first so that when they eventually happen, we're not that surprised. Now, I'm not making any claims here, but you do start noticing similar conversations popping up everywhere. Technologists talking about the future, even people like Elon Musk discussing ideas like universal basic income. Some billionaires quietly building underground bunkers, and more of these signals appearing at the same time. So, what's really going on? What are they preparing for? What do they know that we don't? Anyway, let's keep going, because what comes next is very interesting.
This kind of leads right into another one while we're on number 9 about the Deagle Corporation. This was a major intelligence outfit that they were cited by and utilized by Stratfor, which is probably the biggest global intelligence corporation there is. And Stratfor cites Deagle. So they're a major player in intelligence developing and publishing. And they made a prediction that by 2025, there would be a reduction, look in the red, of population in America from 327 million to 100 million. And GDP would drop from 60,000 per person to 24,000 per person. Now, this is not to say that this will happen, but that's quite an alarming prediction to make. Why would you go out and say that? Well, it's in the context of here, what we were talking about, a mass starvation and global currency and major war and epidemics and cyber attacks. You see massive population reductions and collapse. But I love their little disclaimer here. They first, this isn't the disclaimer, that'll be on the next slide, but first they say this: the collapse of the Western financial system will wipe out the standard of living of its population while ending Ponzi schemes such as the stock exchange and the pension funds. Take into account that the forecast that they've made here is nothing more than a model, whether flawed or correct. Okay, here's their disclaimer. It's not God's word. This is not God's word. This is not a magical device that allows us to see the future. Now, if you're planning the future and announcing what you're going to do ahead of time, then that's not a prediction. But these guys are just making predictions, and they're saying, you know what, this is flawed. This could not transpire as badly as we're seeing it, which makes me feel happy about that situation, about a population reduction of that magnitude and economic collapse. But whether it's going to happen or not isn't even so much the question as when.
These three organizations themselves are bounded by something called the occult. The occult is just basically hidden, secret knowledge, not available to people.
Professor Zhang.
Professor Zhang.
Professor Yang.
Professor Zhang has been showing up in feeds everywhere lately. Not because he's chasing fame, but because people listen to what he says, and then they watch the world prove him right. Before the last election, he called it. Before JD Vance was on anyone's radar, Zhang named him as VP. Before the war with Iran escalated, he laid out exactly why it would happen, and when. So when someone with that kind of track record starts talking about hidden systems and secret knowledge, you pay attention. I spent time going through his work, pulled out the theories that explain the world we're actually living in, the questions we all feel but don't know how to ask. Who's really in control? And why does it feel like we're just watching it all happen? This might not be comfortable, but if you've ever felt like something's off, like the story doesn't match what you're seeing, this video is for you. So settle in, because Zhang is about to show you what's really going on behind the curtain. And by the end, you won't look at the world the same way again.
The first thing you need to understand, which is very hard.
Hey, yo, I'll be playing this cat too. Yes, I do. He be on that shit. He part of that shit too. He dropping jewels. Welcome to the panel, isn't it?
Hey, peace. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, hey, peace, you guys. I spent like 20 minutes trying to join this. It's been
This
so hard.
restream,
Yeah.
this
Damn.
redirect.
Maybe that was that noise I was hearing, and I kept hearing something, and I'm like, "What is that? Wait a minute, that's probably me."
No, my internet would not work. I have 2 different internet services, and none of them would work. So I don't know what's going on. So.
Turn that TV down.
Hot topic, some hot topics.
I think so.
They don't want nobody to talk about this shit.
I joined because, one day, I used to watch Steve Bannon back in the old days. And just recently, maybe in the last, 6 months, I turned him on. And he was talking to that guy called Russ Vogt. And they were like, yeah, Project 2026 is on its way. It was all a ruse. They fell for our ruse. Something happened in Washington, and I don't know what it was. I can't remember what it was. But they were like, it was all, they fell for our ruse. It was all a ruse. Project 2025 is on its way. So I just heard them confirm that's what they're working on in the last 6 months. I can't pinpoint the day, but I heard it.
I ain't ran across that one yet. I did hear some because I think it was Roger Stone talking crazy shit about Bannon.
Well, Bannon's a creep.
Yeah.
It's really sad. I hate to admit it, but he's kind of creepy.
I think he all up in them E-files.
Yeah. And so remember when when Trump kicked him out of the White House in the first term.
Yep.
I don't know if it has something to do. There's something with them, because if you look at the Epstein files, Bannon was spying on Trump. He's E's homeboy. Bannon is E's homeboy. That's his partner. They friends.
Is that who kept trying to stash all the Israeli spy shit in the truck, in his houses and all up in the White House? Probably so. Him and some other people.
Wow.
I know I heard things about that shit too. Like they was trying to put listening devices and all kind of shit around Trump on his motorcade and his vehicle. They kept finding all this Israeli gear.
Well, that probably has something to do with it because if you look at Bannon and that reporter, Epstein was sending them out to target Trump. So I don't know, but Trump seems like he's in with them right now. So I don't know what that's all about. It's kind of confusing.
What's that reporter? Is it a female reporter?
No, is the dude the Wolf guy? Remember the Wolf?
Blitzer or whatever his name is.
No, his name was like Steve Wolf or something. I know his name can't be Steve.
Was it a lone wolf?
No, his name is Wolf. His name is I'll get his name, but he worked for like the New York Times and CNN, and he went and told
is it the old dude? Wolf, that's Wolf Blitzer ass. Ain't he on CNN? The old dude with the gray hair.
I gotta get his name. I don't think so. It's a different one. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, okay.
Let me find out it's a lone wolf.
Oh, you wow. What T-Dub say? He interviewed Epstein. Yeah, he did. They recently put out that interview with Bannon and Lil Jeffy. The centipede wolf, that's diabolical, T-Dub.
What? Don't even play like that. Because we found another one.
Oh Lord.
I'm scared. I'm terrified.
Wow, y'all wildin'.
No, these centipedes. What's wrong with them? Why they want to be in my house?
It was crazy. That whole little. I still gotta dig. I can't because they changed the Enoch search thing. I can't do that no more. Damn.
What, the little Jeffy stuff?
Yeah, but I remember I took it over to was it Chat GPT or was it
Perplexity?
No, I was doing it with the interactive, the voice one. And
Echo.
When I had brought up Lil Jeffy, and then I started searching through the e-files for Lil Jeffy, and it popped up that it was his nickname. Somebody called him Lil Jeffy. Me and T-Dub was on that shit.
I was on there too.
Yeah, okay. But
that was weird.
Okay, his name is Michael Wolf.
Michael Wolf. Is that
Who's the lone wolf?
Movie director?
Who's the lone wolf?
Say what?
Nothing. I was just saying, who is the lone wolf? Because I kept hearing about him.
A lone wolf is
A lone wolf is like an adjective or something.
I mean, like
the name Wolf is it's a small hat name.
Oh well, he's one of them. I mean, he's definitely in the club. He's Epstein's other little homie, and Bannon. I don't know how. He always talked about he's a Catholic. He's an Irish Catholic or whatever, but you remember that's his homie too. So I don't know, but I heard Bannon talk about Project 2025. That's what I brought to them.
Right. So they were saying they fell for it. Now we can get our Project 2020 or 2025 in there.
Yeah, it was another marker that was made.
It was the war. It had to be the war.
It maybe so. maybe Gaza. It was something going on, and they said, and it was just a random conversation. I just was randomly watching it. It wasn't, no one clipped it or anything. I just randomly turned it on, and they were like celebrating, and they were like, they fell for our rules. Project 2025 is on its way. This, that, and the other, and I was like, what?
And it crazy how they openly talk about certain shit.
Right.
They have to. They have to. That's part of the little game, and they like it.
It's universal law.
Who, me?
I said it's kind of like universal law. You got to speak of. You got to.
yeah.
You got to kind of. You have to put it out there what you own.
Right, but they also like it. It's called voyeurism. They like it when somebody's watching.
Mm. The
And then they like to have little, hidden jokes that nobody catches. Or secrets.
Code phrases and words. They think people stupid.
Right.
I hate to say most people are dumb as hell. And it's just
It's just that they're evil. And they think that evil is
but it's it's kind of compounded when you got all this chemical warfare, you got fluoride, you got these chemicals, and so it's got a lot of calcified pineal glands and shit going around.
That too. Right. Because I know I'm slower than I could be thanks to all of their little tricks.
You need some nascent iodine.
I have. I took my iodine today.
Yeah, she was talking about her iodine.
Nascent iodine?
Is that the brand? I take iodine.
It's a type of iodine. It's not,
mine tastes like water.
That
and
ain't it.
It's in a dropper.
A tincture.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look up nascent iodine. It's like you get just like deep earth shit, like
But I know my pineal isn't calcified.
Oh, of course.
Of course, what?
It's not.
Oh, because I use the tamarind and I stopped using fluoride, even though fluoride's still in water and all that. But I use the tamarind fruit.
What is that?
It's just like, it looks like peanuts, and then it's like really sweet and sticky on the inside.
I've never even heard of this fruit. Tamarind fruit?
Yep.
Thought you were talking about a tangerine or something. No, I'm not gonna get too sidetracked. Get back on this video.
Is that our world is a hallucination. It's a collective fantasy.
A hallucination. Not sometimes misleading or a bit subjective. A full-blown shared hallucination. And he's not being poetic, he's being literal. He takes us straight to Plato's cave. You know the story. People chained, staring at a wall their whole lives, watch shadows. Shadows are the whole universe.
Copper got it. That's when I got to say it's a constant battle. It's a constant battle. Don't let your guard down. Keep that battle up. Unless you're going like off grid and you ain't got to go to them stores. If you're growing your own shit, this is why we need to build this community. We need farms, and we need bartering, and then we need it all just to get away from that poison.
They give the shadows names, they build a language around them, they tell stories, wars are fought over which shadow is real, generations pass, and never once do they turn around. Zhang says that's us. That's now. The economy, the borders, the stock market, the news, the rules-based order. All shadows, all projected by something we can't see. Here's the part that hits different. He says we're not forced to stay in the cave. The chains aren't even real. They're ribbons. Anyone could walk out. But nobody does, because we love the cave. We're emotionally welded to it. And if someone comes back from the outside and says, hey, those shadows aren't real, we don't think them, we kill them. I had to stop for a second when I heard that, because it's not just a story about ancient Greece. It's happening right now, every time someone questions the narrative. Think about that the next time someone calls you crazy for questioning the script. He's setting the table here. And trust me, what's coming next will change how you see everything. But first, we have to accept one thing. The world you think you're living in, it's a projection, a game, and someone built it. So yeah, we're not prisoners. We're volunteers. The question is, what are you volunteering for?
It is our conscious attention that creates wealth in this world, and it's really money or capital that extracts and stores our consciousness and turns it into wealth.
This is the sentence that changes everything. Zhang isn't talking about economics. He's talking about alchemy. Think about what he laid out before this. The vase example. You focus, you pour your attention into making something beautiful, and that focus makes it valuable. That's the raw material, consciousness. Not labor hours, not resources, but attention, focus. The stuff you're using right now to watch this. Now follow the trail. You work, you create, you focus. At the end of the week, you get paid. What just happened? You traded your consciousness for pieces of paper or digital numbers. Those pieces of paper, money, are just frozen attention. They store your life energy until you spend it on someone else's frozen attention. Zhang says this is the hidden engine. The whole global economy is a machine designed to extract consciousness from the many and concentrate it into the hands of the few. The elite don't get rich because they're smarter or work harder. They get rich because they own the storage units. They control the mechanism that turns human awareness into wealth. Then he gives an example that changes how you see everything. He lists the old storage devices, pyramids, Homer's epics. Each one soaked up generations of human attention. Pyramids weren't just tombs, they were concentration camps for consciousness. Millions of Egyptians poured their focus into those stones, believing, building, obeying. The stories of Homer did the same for Greeks. Centuries of attention stored in poems. Now the storage device is the dollar. Every time you work, save, spend, trade, you're pouring your consciousness into the system, and the system stores it as digits in someone else's account. It's the most efficient extraction machine ever built. But Zhang drops one more line that changes the game.
There's actually a war going on for the soul of humanity, for the human consciousness between the US dollar, the old world order, and artificial intelligence, the new world order.
The dollar needs human consciousness to function. It runs on your attention, your labor, your focus. AI doesn't. AI generates its own attention, its own focus, its own value. So the old storage device is fighting the new one, not over markets, not over resources, over the source code of reality. That's the real war, and it's just getting started.
They don't force us to do anything. There's not enough of them, okay? The way they maintain power is through manipulation and trickery and deception.
Many people imagine the elite as some shadowy cabal with armies and mind control rays. They pull levers, we dance. Zhang says no, that's a Hollywood fantasy. The truth is more humiliating. They can't force us. There aren't enough of them. If everyone on Earth woke up tomorrow and decided the game was over, what would they do? Send their tiny army against 8 billion people? They'd last about an hour. So, how do they hold it together? Manipulation, trickery, deception. Go back to the cave. Watch what happens when that one guy finally stands up.
He or she starts messing around with the chains and realizes, these aren't chains. These are just like ropes. I can just like get rid of them. And this chain around my neck, it's like a ribbon. I can snap it off. And he doesn't know why he does this, but he does this. He does do this. And when he does this, they don't even care. Like, whatever, man, do whatever you want.
They don't even stop him. They just watch him stumble toward the light like, whatever, man, do your thing. Why? Because they know something he doesn't. Even if he leaves, everyone else will stay. The system doesn't need guards. It needs believers.
You think they have magic, and you think that they're evil, but really, all their power rests on our belief in their power.
Read that again. All their power rests on our belief in their power. The president, the banker, the general, the billionaire, none of them have power you haven't given them. You believe the dollar is worth something, so it is. You believe the cop has authority, so he does. You believe the election matters, so it does. It's a collective hallucination held together by consensus. And here's the part that got me. We want to believe. Because if it's all fake, then what have we been doing with our lives? What were our parents doing? What were their parents doing? That realization is too heavy for most people to carry. So when that guy comes back from outside the cave and says, hey, those shadows aren't real, they don't thank him, they don't debate him, they don't even chain him up.
But we fall in love with it. We're so attached to it psychologically and emotionally that if anyone tells us it's fake, we kill them for it.
Not the elite, the other prisoners. Because he's threatening the one thing they can't live without, their fantasy. That's the mechanism. That's how manipulation works. You don't need armies when people will kill the truth tellers for you. So next time someone calls you crazy for questioning the story, remember Jiang. They're not defending the truth. They're defending their cave. And they'll kill you for it if you let them.
You think that you go to university to learn knowledge. No, you don't. You go to university to be brainwashed into believing that the system is not just fear, but actually what really makes the system work is the rules-based national order.
You spent years in classrooms, took loans, wrote papers, chased grades, and Jiang says that was brainwashing. Not education, brainwashing. He's not talking about conspiracy theories where professors secretly indoctrinate students with leftist propaganda. That's too small. He's talking about something deeper. The real brainwashing is the assumption that the system is basically just. If you work hard, play by the rules, climb the ladder, you'll get what you deserve. That the game is fair. That the winners earned it, and the losers didn't try hard enough. That's the core belief they install. Not through overt propaganda, but through the entire structure. The way classes are graded, the way success is defined, the way history is told, the way economics is taught as if it's physics, not a set of choices made by powerful people. Jiang adds two more layers.
CNN, BBC, New York Times. Each time you read an article, you think you're receiving news. You're not receiving news. You're being brainwashed into believing that this order is fair, just, and appropriate, okay? It's a deception. And the last, of course, is culture, which is Hollywood. And, television shows, sitcoms, okay? Things that you absorb every day.
Education, media, culture. Three overlapping machines running 24/7, pumping out the same message. This is just how things are. The rich deserve their money. The poor deserve their poverty. The wars are for freedom. The sanctions are for peace. The dollar is strong because America is great. You never hear a competing story because there is no competing story. The machines are all owned by the same people. They don't need to coordinate. They just need to hire people who already believe the story and will tell it well. And here's the part that makes it work. Jiang says this creates a legal and moral framework so effective that the elite don't even need to enforce it.
If you break the rules, it's not that the elite will come after you. They don't have to come after you because everyone else will come after you.
That's the final stage of control. You don't need cops when the citizens are the cops. You don't need thought police when everyone polices everyone else's thoughts. If you question the fairness of the system, you're not just wrong, you're dangerous. You're attacking the fantasy everyone else is invested in. and they will turn on you faster than any authority figure would. So the next time you're in a conversation and somebody says, "But that's just the way the world works," remember Zhang. They're not being reasonable. They're being the prison guard, and they don't even know it. So after showing us the cave and how money extracts consciousness, Zhang does something else. He pulls the camera back.
Another way of understanding these people is to think of them as the game masters, okay? The ones above us who's constructed the game and controlling the rules of the game as we play it.
Game masters. That's what he calls them. Not presidents, not CEOs, not elected officials. The ones above all that. They built the board. They wrote the rulebook. He traces the chain upward. At the very top, something called the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. The central bank of central banks. Above governments, above laws. Think about that for a second. Then below it, the World Bank and the IMF. Organizations that tell countries how to behave if they want to play. Then below them, the national central banks. The Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, the People's Bank of China. This is the operating system. And what does this operating system produce? A game. A global game with one purpose. To use the US dollar as the main mechanism for extracting and storing wealth.
Okay, so resources are considered the cheapest. Even though in reality it should be the most expensive, right? Because resources are limited, they're finite. Above resources, of course, is manufacturing. And above manufacturing is knowledge economy. And then the highest is finance.
Now watch how he connects it. The game masters built a price hierarchy. Not based on real value, based on control. At the bottom, resources. Oil, gas, minerals, food, the stuff you actually need to survive. Priced cheapest. Above that, manufacturing. Turning resources into products. Above that, knowledge economy. Patents, software, media. And at the very top, finance. Moving numbers. Creating debt. Printing money. Then he drops the map.
So resource, of course, would be Russia. Russia, the Middle East, the GCC, okay? Saudi Arabia, these places, okay? So these places provide resources. Manufacturing then would be China, right? Knowledge would be Europe and the Five Eyes, okay? Basically the Anglosphere, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Britain, and then finance, of course, the United States, okay?
This is the board. This is how the world is divided. Russia sits on resources and sells cheap. China manufactures and ships. Europe and its allies own the ideas. America sits at the top, collecting rent on everything. Zhang isn't saying this is fair or unfair. He's saying this is the structure. The game masters designed it this way. And if you're born in Russia, you play the resource game. Born in China, you play manufacturing. Born in America, you play finance. You don't choose. The game chooses you. But here's where it gets interesting. Two countries inside the system hate it. China and Russia are playing, but they're playing to change the rules. And two countries aren't even allowed on the board.
If the United States doesn't like you, what it can do is not allow you to play this game. And these countries, of course, would be North Korea and Iran, among other countries, okay?
Iran sits on resources. By the game master's design, they're supposed to be at the bottom, selling cheap, taking dollars, staying quiet. But they're not playing. They're outside the game entirely. And they're poking at the structure. This is the setup for every war, every sanctions package, every color revolution. Not ideology, not freedom, not democracy, just game masters protecting their board. The question is, what happens when the players stop following the rules?
First, of course, is intelligence. What is intelligence? Spies, okay? Their job is to infiltrate other nations' elites and co-opt them into the system. That's what their job is, okay? That's what intelligence does. Then you have crime. Crime just engages in the most profitable enterprises, which includes, of course, drugs, human trafficking, and something called money laundering, okay? And this is a way to incentivize the global elite to work together. Okay, so that's the first two. And then there's one more mechanism called science. Now you think that science is about pursuing the truth. No, it's not. Okay? Science is fundamentally about finding evidence to justify and protect the status quo.
3 systems, operating above nations, above any law you can vote for, above any government you can change. Intelligence. Their job is to infiltrate other nations' elites and co-opt them. You don't need to invade a country if you already own the people running it. You don't need to win an election if you control both candidates. Intelligence agencies become integration tools, merging global power across borders. Crime. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Zhang doesn't moralize, he just observes. Crime engages in the most profitable enterprises. But here's the move. He says this creates incentives. When elite money flows through the same channels, when deals cross the same borders, when secrets become shared liabilities, you're not enemies anymore. You're partners. Science. This one cuts deep if you've built your worldview on it. It's not about pursuing truth. It's about finding evidence to justify and protect the status quo. That's why certain questions never get funding. That's why certain answers never appear in journals. That's why materialism is the only allowed framework. It keeps the conversation inside the fence.
Science is fundamentally about finding evidence to justify and protect the status quo.
Think about what that means for every study you've ever trusted. Every expert who told you the system is fair. Every "Science Says" headline that shuts down debate. The machine doesn't produce knowledge. It produces permission. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Now here's where Zhang ties it together.
And these 3 organizations themselves are bounded by something called a cult. And we'll discuss this later on, okay? The cult is just basically hidden, secret knowledge, not available to people.
Hermetic philosophy, the Kabbalah, not religion you practice on Sundays. Operating systems for people who see themselves as above the game. This is the architecture. Intelligence co-ops, crime connects, science justifies, and underneath all of it, a shared worldview you're not invited to. Not a conspiracy, a structure. And like any structure, it has load-bearing walls. Zhang is about to show us where they crack. So after building the whole architecture, Zhang asks a question. If this is real, there have to be people moving through it. Operators, people with names.
If it is true that this system is the way it is, there should be individuals in place that operate the system, right? Well, I'll give you some names. I'll give you 2 names. Jeffrey Epstein and Jared Kushner.
Jeffrey Epstein. You know the public story. But look at who trained him. He started at Dalton, one of the most elite schools in America, where the most powerful families send their children.
Little Asian buddy talking some shit.
Then Bear Stearns, finance. Then Douglas Lee, arms trafficking. Iran-Contra, one of the biggest global arms dealers. Then Ehud Barak, former Prime Minister of Israel, intelligence. That's not a random career path.
Did he say Kushner? Ain't that Trump's son-in-law? I think it is his son-in-law.
Someone was teaching him how power works across all 3 systems: education, finance, crime, intelligence. Then look at the Epstein files. 3 million documents released by the Department of Justice. Not leaked, released. On the government website. And what do they show? Bill Gates, the wealthiest man in the world, begging Epstein for money. Elon Musk trying to arrange meetings, Larry Summers and Steven Pinker dining with him at Harvard, Prince Andrew emailing him classified government reports. Not because Epstein was charming, because Epstein represented something. He said it himself. I represent the Rothschild. Your money is fake. I represent real money, real power.
These families help the Rothschilds. Secret Society, Chabad Lubavitch. All right. And you're like, this is all conspiracy. This can't be true. Well, it's all true.
And here's what this network does with all that
Talk
access.
that shit, chang, ching, chang. Ain't get their ass.
In 2011, America bombs Libya. Gaddafi falls. The country collapses. And Epstein and his friends are already emailing each other, calculating how to profit. Frozen assets, reconstruction contracts, oil reserves.
We got the Bruce Lee of conspiracies in this motherfucker.
They're not watching the news. They're reading the balance sheet.
They look at geopolitics and they're like, how can we take advantage of geopolitical events to make the most money for ourselves?
The second name is Jared Kushner, son-in-law to our president, real estate developer turned Middle East peace negotiator. There are photos of him with Putin, with Netanyahu, with the Omani foreign minister, and the question John asks, what are they actually discussing?
What you posting in the Rumble chat, super high IQ? Rumble.com, NATO, the Holy Freemason, Nazi Templar, Spirit Investigation. Oh, snap. You just came out of nowhere with that. Who are you? What are you posting in my chat? No introduction, just bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, huh? Sheesh.
Not peace. After the war, Ukraine gets rebuilt. Who gets the contracts? After Gaza builds the luxury, who gets the land? Kushner isn't.
You dropping links in the chat. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, player. Sheesh. And get triggered while you at it. I have to go to that link later and see what that's about. I don't think that's YouTube friendly.
Negotiating ceasefires. He's positioning. The FBI's own confidential source on Epstein wrote in their files that Kushner moved Russian investment money through family charities. That the real Russian collusion story wasn't about Trump, it was about Kushner's network. And that on the night Trump was elected, Ivanka and Jared Kushner were at the grave of Rabbi Sneerson, leader of the Shabbat Lubavitch movement, whose followers include Netanyahu and whose network connects across intelligence, finance, and religion. This is the network. These are the operators. They move between education, finance, intelligence, real estate, not as separate roles, but as one.
Y'all got to excuse me. I got to write some shit down real quick. Hold on.
What are they actually discussing? Not peace. After the war, Ukraine gets rebuilt. Who gets the contracts? After Gaza, someone builds the luxury villas. Who gets the land? Kushner isn't negotiating ceasefires. He's positioning. The FBI's own confidential source on Epstein wrote in their files that Kushner moved Russian investment money through family charities. That the real Russian collusion story wasn't about Trump, it was about Kushner's network. And that on the night Trump was elected, Ivanka and Jared Kushner were at the grave of Rabbi Sneerson, leader of the Shabbat Lubavitch movement, whose followers include Netanyahu, and that on the night Trump was elected, Ivanka and Jared Kushner were at the grave of Rabbi Sneerson, leader of the Shabbat Lubavitch movement, whose followers include Netanyahu and that on the night Trump was elected, Ivanka and Jared Kushner were at the grave of Rabbi Sneerson. Leader of the Shabbat Lubavitch. Extermination movement, whose followers include Netanyahu and whose network connects across intelligence, finance, and religion. This is the network. These are the operators. They move between education, finance, intelligence, real estate, not as separate roles, but as one integrated machine. The files are public. The connections are documented. Epstein is dead. Kushner is still dealing. And the machine is still running. So here we are. We walk through the cave with Zhang. We saw the shadows on the wall, the game masters above us, the pyramid that sorts nations like products on a shelf. We followed the money, consciousness frozen, stored, extracted. We watched the operators move through education, finance, crime, intelligence. We read the files, we saw the names, traced the connections. It's a lot. It can feel heavy, like the game is rigged and you just now realize you've been playing your whole life without knowing the rules. But here's the thing Zhang planted underneath every word he said. The chains are ribbons. They only hold you if you believe they hold. The game only exists if you play. Where you put your attention is where you put your life. Zhang showed us that. The vase is valuable because someone focused on it. The pyramid exists because billions of people focus on the dollar, the news, the grades, the promotions, the status. The system runs on your attention. It always has. So what happens when you start paying attention to something else? What happens when you spend an afternoon watching clouds instead of scrolling? When you have a conversation where no one checks their phone? When you make something with your hands and don't photograph it? When you sit with someone who's hurting and just stay present? You're not overthrowing anything. You're just withdrawing your energy from the hallucination and investing in what's actually real. The people in front of you, the ground under your feet, the breath in your lungs, the mystery you'll never fully understand. Zhang showed us the architecture. He didn't show us how to escape because escape isn't the point. The point is to see clearly enough that you stop being a volunteer. To recognize that the game is optional. To understand that the cave exists, but so does the light outside it. And no one is stopping you from walking toward it except your own attachment to the shadows. So maybe the move isn't to fight the system. Maybe the move is to build something that the system can't touch. A life so full of real attention, real connection, real presence, that the hallucinations lose their grip. Not because you defeated them, but because you stopped feeding them. The war between the dollar and AI, the civil war among elites, the pyramid, the operators, the files, all of that will keep spinning. It always has. But you don't have to spin with it. You can just be here, now, breathing, alive in a world that is far stranger and more beautiful than any shadow on a wall. Zhang gave you the map. What you do with it is your choice. But know this, the door was never locked. It was never even a door. It was just a shift in attention. And that shift is always available. Right now. Quick reminder, if you'd like to check it out, go to incogni.com/advice. And
I like the way he ended that. Very true. Sheesh. Like everybody be saying, well, not everybody, but don't participate in that shit. Like Big Dog Philly be saying, I ain't participating in that bullshit. But they can kind of force your hand if need be. Somebody planting a dirty bomb down the road from you will melt down a nuclear power plant. Or shut the power off. You ain't gonna have no choice but to get down. Become survival of the fittest at that point. $420. Oh shit. Let's see. Oh buddy, oh buddy, oh buddy. What we got? That's what I will do. Slap something real quick.
Yeah. Listen up. You have to pick a side. Yeah. 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 They profit when we're boxed in, color coded. Scroll wars, broke floors, mine's corroded. Got you barking at your neighbor for a headline. Why they signing off the city for a deadline? Yeah. Same rent late, same fridge bare. Same bus route, same blank stare. Why you beefing with the mirror, letting them demons in? Same wound, same blade, different spin. Unified die, that's the bottom line. Either hold the line together or they cut the spine. You can fight me or you can fight the lie. Choose one, unify or die. Unify, die, hear the battle cry. Yeah. Either build a bridge or we all run dry. You can hate your blood or you can hate the bind. Choose one, unify or die. They sell fear like it's candy in a glass jar. Feeding panic to the masses, playing a black card. Left, right, that's a puppet in a split suit. Real power sitting quiet in a rich room. You throw hands at your brother in the same trench. Same cough in your chest, the same bench. If the landlord love you both in the same way, you ain't rivals, you just victims on a layaway. Unified die, that's the bottom line. Either hold the line together or they cut the spine. You can fight me or you can fight the lie. Choose one, unify or die. Unify, die, hear the battle cry. Either build a bridge or we all run dry. You can hate your blood or you can hate the bind. Choose one, unify or die. Hands up, not for trends, for each other. Name one win, they ain't split us to cover. We all broke, they just changed the shade. Same storm, different rain on our face. I'm from a place where they rather see us vilify. Scrolling through the pain, pick a side, then we signify. Algorithm war, every comment like a battle cry. Either we expand the circle, or we simplify. Feet keep telling me I'm right, that's a lullaby. Rockets all to sleep, while the roof sitting over fire. Leaders talk tough, but they courage only monetized. I'm just trying to build a bridge higher than the border signs. Kids growing up, thinking empathy is obsolete. Hearts on red receipts, love lost in the data sheet. History repeats when we treat truth like a product line. Either share the water or we watch the whole garden die. So I look my people in the face when the sirens cry. Pull each other up even when we don't see eye to eye. Hands in the middle, swear we live in what we testify. Say we rise together, this the code, unified die. Unified die, that's the bottom line. Either hold the line together or they cut the spine. You can fight me or you can fight the lie. Choose one, unify or die. Unified die, hear the battle cry. Either build a bridge or we all run dry. You can hate your blood or you can hate the bind. Choose one, unify or die.
Ooh wee. Yes, sir. I ain't done yet.
What?
But I will repeat what that dude was saying at the end. Just basically do video. Oh man, I watched the video. If you like and sub up, that's what's happening. You gotta disconnect from this shit. Keep striving and keep moving in the direction that we moving in. We got to do some shit that's outside of this whole system.
You gotta have faith.
You don't have that? Are you struggling in that department?
Who, me? No.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm just wondering.
Mm-hmm.
Dude was cooking though at the end. Unplugged from the Matrix. Get them farms going. Become skilled at something. Become an asset yourself. Fellas out there, learn how to build. Shit like that. Now, who's monumental? Who is that? Monumental.
What's Copper G?
Oh, okay. You done jumped on other. So that link was legit. Hold on, what she say? The super IQ. That link. Okay. So Copper Gata, is that YouTube worthy or is that Rumble only? Because that title itself will have fucking smacked up on YouTube. I'm off to the next. Oh, Mr. Jay Dyer. Last time I played this shit, they removed my video. They ain't give me no strike or nothing. They just said, nah, get this off your channel. But I'm gonna do it again. It's a different one though.
To the fourth hour of the auction show. I'm your guest host, Jay Dyer of Jay's Analysis. And we've had a wild past few days, maybe even past week, on Instagram, on X, on the news, on everywhere online has gone insane over the fact that the Pope recently announced quite an alliance with Islam as he visited various mosques in Algiers. Now, what's funny is that not only did he say that he thought that the West should be less fearful Islam and that now mosques are proper spaces dedicated to God, this is absolutely antithetical to everything that the history of the Catholic Church, for example, the way it positioned itself throughout the Middle Ages in opposition to Islam, in opposition to the taking over of the Holy Land by Muslims, thus launching several crusades for the purpose of bringing the Holy Land back under the sway of Christian kings and emperors and so forth. All of that has been pretty much undone by the post-1960s Vatican II revolution in the Roman Catholic Church through the documents of Vatican II, such as Nostra Aetate and Lumen Gentium. Both of those documents contain within them significant chapters and sections that deal with the...
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Opening up, you could say, of the attitude of what the church is and who God's people are, to now include any group that professes any kind of generic theism or perhaps even deism. The book or the documents of Vatican II specify that now Roman Catholics, Muslims, and Jews all worship the same God together, and that the plan of salvation now includes
the nope. Hey, I'm fact with that one. The nope need to mind his damn business.
Includes Islam. That's the terminology explicitly from Vatican II. What's wild about this, again, is the radical departure from the attitude that the church had throughout the Middle Ages. Now, on top of that, this is taking place, that is Pope Leo's discussions and statements, at the same time as there's Christian persecution by Islam by Western proxy Islamic groups in places like Nigeria and Sudan and Syria, where we saw, for example, the installing of Jolani and the destruction of countless Orthodox, Catholic, and other Christian groups in Syria, the oldest sites of Christianity. Syrian Antioch is where the Christians are first called Christians in the book of Acts. And in the midst of all of this, Pope Leo comes out and says we must be less fearful of Islam. As we are told, we should open our borders and accept more migrants. We just saw in Spain, the Roman Catholic Church
So what you advocating for, Jay? To be fearful of some motherfuckers or something? You sound like a real bitch right now.
affirmed and agreed with the importation of hundreds of thousands of new migrants. And this is all, of course, by design to destroy the existing European peoples and their nation states. This was admitted about a century ago or more in the Kalergi plan by Count Coudenhove Kalergi. He wrote a book called Practical Ideal.
So Obama met with the Nope. So they on that push for that one world religion, huh? Went it over there in Dubai, somewhere close to Dubai. They got that center or some kind of building where they got all the religions together, and seen something about it where it's like this round table and they had all the world's religions and unified in one damn religion. So they getting ready to push the one world religion. That's what it sounds like to me.
And in that book, he says that we will breed out through bringing in countless foreign groups and entities, particularly Muslims, into Europe to destroy the existing people group. He says then they will be, quote, mongrelized, his words, and there will be a Jewish supremacy that will arise out of this. That's not my words. That's his words in Practical Idealism. This plan of Kalergi was...
Moors gonna love this. Islam.
Presented to the Royal Society elites, and they said, we like your plan and we like Lord Lionel Curtis's plan of the Commonwealth of God, a kind of generic socialist federation along the lines of Cecil Rhodes and John Ruskin's plan for a new order of the world. So all of these plans and discussions and theories that people mention, is it the British Empire, is it the Rothschilds and their Zionist approach? It's all of those things together. They all synthesize very well together. At the same time, we had a woman throughout all the large Roman Catholic websites like LifeSite News. Her name was Liz Yore, and she gave a talk at a recent conservative Catholic event. And as I guess she's a journalist or something to do with the pro-life organizations, and she used to work with Catholic Charities, and she said that Catholic Charities is not the only entity responsible for the importation and destruction of the borders in the U.S. and in the West. She says that the Catholic Church itself and its diocese and its bishops are openly, adamantly supporting this importation, and they make tremendous amounts of money from it. Now, there's a monetary angle to it, but there's also a longer, larger, technocratic socialist plan to reshape the nations, to reshape the continents into socialist unions. We're going to talk about where that plan comes from and who planned it, how old that plan is, here in a moment when we look at some of these texts that we have. But I also wanted to mention that Leo had a pretty wild statement where he said that the reason that Muslims and Christians can get together is because, quote, we both share a view of Mary that leads to communion. He says, quote, communion between Christians and Muslims takes shape under the mantle of Our Lady of Africa. Here in Algeria, the maternal love of Lala Maryam, or maybe Lala Rona, gathers everyone as children with rich diversity, with shared aspiration of dignity, love, justice, and peace. Communion is a specific term that has to do with sharing in the body and blood of Christ. It's a Eucharistic, sacramental reality. So for him to use that terminology with Muslims who don't believe in anything like that at all is absolutely bizarre and intentional, I would argue. Just like when Vatican II says that Muslims, Christians, and Jews all worship the same God, the assumption is kind of like a Freemasonic teaching that we're all on the same path, and all those religions are now salvific and can lead to our final goal. Thus, it really negates the person of Christ. Remember, Jesus said in John 14, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. In 1 John 2, verses 20 to 22, it says that if you reject the Son, you don't get the Father. So anyone who rejects Christ as the Messiah does not have the Father. And I have to wonder if these people know anything about Islam, because Islam explicitly says Allah is not a father and has no sons. He doesn't have human sons. He doesn't have a son of God. So Allah is explicitly not the God of Jesus and not the God of the Christians, according to the Muslims. So this is a really preposterous, ultimately Freemasonic teaching that all the religions are really just masks of the same generic theism or generic deity. And I think that it also comes in the context of this bizarre back and forth that we're having between Trump, his administration, and the people within it, and the papacy. So it's hard to figure out like exactly what's going on here. There was this story that Cardinal Christoph back in January was invited to the Pentagon and spoke to several members of Trump's administration, and there was reportedly tense words exchanged and perhaps even intimidation and quote threats. We don't know exactly what was said, but allegedly, according to news reports, there were discussions of the Avignon papacy as a reminder to the Pope who really runs things. That's a reference to the time when the Western Church was under what's called the Great Western Captivity in the Middle Ages. And this has to do with about 70 years where the seat of Peter moved from Rome to France, Avignon, France. And at that point, it was under almost a century of French kings controlling and running the papacy, the supposed chair of Peter in France. It eventually went back to Rome, but the reference appears to have been a coded or perhaps not even coded statement that the state is who, perhaps because this is an American Pope, he was being reminded that you're an American and the Pentagon, the State Department, and the elites that control it are running things. So Francis and Leo might have spoken out against wars, but the position that they're giving against the wars isn't the historic Roman Catholic position on just war. They might argue that it's not a just war, but Leo went so far as to say that no wars waged in the name of God have anything to do with righteousness, and God doesn't hear any of those prayers when you wage war in the name of God. He must not be familiar with all of those Old Testament passages where war was waged in the name of God, and he must have forgotten that his own papacy waged many wars in the Middle Ages, including the Papal States itself having many of its own wars and its own standing army, particularly during the Medici period. Pope Alexander VI had his own standing army. All of that is erased because the papacy has decided now that it's in a kind of socialist, technocratic, pro-WEF, pro-globalist era of its papacy. But that doesn't mean that I have to then say, well, then Donald Trump is right, and we must go to war for Israel, and we must do everything that Israel wants. I had a debate with Andrew Meyer, a guy that is a nice guy. We've met him in person. He came on my channel the other day, and we did a debate on whether or not this was in the best interests of America to go to war in Iran. And it wasn't really about Israel. But the funny thing is that as soon as, for example, the oil was seized in the Maduro operation, that oil, according to mainstream news reports, went directly to Israel. So the oil that were supposedly is supposedly, for some of these apologists, the basis for why we're engaging in these operations, including the Maduro event and the exfiltration of him, as well as the Iran event, is supposedly to help shore up American oil interests and to help number go up for GDP. Now, I don't think that's really helping anything. It's an absurd line of argumentation. And that line of argumentation, as we see many of the Trump apologists laying out, really this is, I think, devaluing humanity at the expense of the GDP. And this is what Pam Bondi said, right? Who cares about Epstein if number go up, if GDP go up? So who cares if we're run by PDF pedophile elites, if the elites are compromising and controlling politicians? Who cares? Because number go up. Well, number's not even going up. And plus, if the dollar is inflated into oblivion and collapses, the number will always go up because there will always be more dollars printed, and you can always inflate and give the impression that the economy is doing well through all of this trickery. But we all know that it's not doing well, and anyone under the age of boomer basically can't buy a house or own property or plan for any kind of normal family lifestyle, and that's all by design. The plans, of course, are to destroy the economy, eventually to transition us into some kind of global economy. And all of that was, again, discussed at Bilderberg, as we saw this week. And Dan Dix did a great coverage of that. Alex had Dan Dix on. That was a great show. If you missed it, I would say go watch that, because no one covered Bilderberg. Dan Dix, myself on YouTube, Alex talking to Dan Dix, and Jason Burmis. That was it. No one else covered Bilderberg, because apparently all of that went away, right? Once Trump got in, it's all fixed. Bilderberg doesn't matter anymore. There's no such thing as elite steering committees, technocrats, etc., zillionaires running things. No, they all stepped down because Trump. And yet in the last 8 months to a year, we've seen a disastrous turn by the Trump administration for the worse, particularly pivoting at the point of saying that who cares about Epstein? You're not MAGA. If you want to know about Epstein, if you want people prosecuted, you're low IQ. And then we get a blasphemous presentation of Trump as Jesus healing people in their sick beds, healing the boomers as they lay on their sick beds from COVID and the stabbies that they got and the boosters. And of course, no, this isn't Jesus. This is just Trump as a doctor. I don't know doctors that wear red Jesus robes, but apparently it's supposed to be just a doctor with the hosts of heaven behind him. All of this is absurd, and I think we see a sort of megalomaniacal turn, which is very unfortunate, because we did see so many good things happening. So we have to remember there were a lot of good actions and a lot of good movements early on, but things have turned for the worse, and it has to oftentimes do with foreign policy, because once we get to that issue, we realize that we are not as free as we thought we were. And we are quickly reminded of the oligarchical elite in the background that still run and still control things. The overall agenda still marches forward. As Theo Vaughn said, we got politicians and Dalai Lamas slurping on kids, and nobody is saying anything about it. Everyone's acting like this is business as usual. Theo Vaughn was 100% correct. Now, what does this mean? It means that we cannot fix things, and we cannot assume that some single politician has the means and the ability to overturn a massive centuries-long oligarchy that has entrenched itself mainly through money printing and through the Federal Reserve banking system. That can't be undone by one guy in one or two administrations. So we shouldn't have unrealistic expectations of any single politician getting all of that done. But beyond that, it's really not even about Trump himself, right? I think mature, educated adults should be able to go by the issues, right? Instead of being on teams. It's almost like UFC or something, or again, back to WWF. We're not on teams, we're on issues, and that's the most important thing. And if Trump's wrong about warp speed, if he's wrong about, the Epstein files, if he's wrong about Iran, then we have to disagree with those issues. But you've got people who essentially adopted a cult attitude that you can't disagree or you can't criticize issues or positions without suddenly being anti-MAGA, or you're not a true American, you're a traitor, you're a foreign agent and an operative. And so we have to be careful of all these traps and the false dialectics. Again, one of those dialectics is, well, if I disagree with the Iran war, and if I disagree with the Zionist position and the need to go to war for Israel, then I must choose Islam as an aid, as an ally. Islam is not an ally. In fact, Islam, as many of the rabbis say, and Zionists say, is the broom of Judaism. It's the thing that comes in and clears the way for what Jews believe will be a future Jewish supremacy and a Jewish state run out of Jerusalem or perhaps Tel Aviv, that will be the center of the world in the future. That's the Jewish supremacy attitude, going all the way back to ancient rabbinic traditions about the nation state of Israel and their Messiah that's not Christ. Or perhaps Moses Hess, the founder of modern Zionism in its political reality, and also the father of modern utopian socialism. Those two things go together. Now, I don't have to choose between Tony Soprano and the 5 families of New York, right? Why do I have to? That's a false choice. But everybody seems so easily duped into, well, I either have to choose Laura Loomer or Sneeko. It's only 2 options. There's no other possible options. What about the Christian option? What about an Orthodox Christian option that's not Zionism or Islam, that's not Mossad or Hamas? Like, what about some other option? Maybe we should start thinking outside of these basic bitch dialectics that everybody falls into. And again, Trump will be out of office in not that long. And then what? Are we going to be members of some new cult? Are we going to be in the Gavin Newsom cult, the Kamala cult, the Big Mike cult? It's all absurd. The only way to fix things is to understand that the real power structure is the oligarchical elite that control things at a corporate and banking level. Everybody has now conveniently forgotten the whole Epstein fiasco. And that was partly, I think, why the timing, I know that the war was planned before Epstein, but the timing of the war suddenly put Epstein on the back burner or out of everyone's minds when it was the biggest story in decades. And it was easily removed via a sudden war that was supposedly necessary. Why? Because of an imminent threat, but that's been an imminent threat for how many decades, according to Netanyahu? They are 2 weeks away from a bomb. And then 5 years later, they're 2 weeks away from bomb. Five years later, they're 2 weeks away from bomb. So every 5 years, they're 2 weeks away from a bomb. And it's the same model of Oded Yanon. It's the same model of the clean break strategy. And it's the same model of the 7 Nations plan that Wesley Clark talked about. It's the same plan. There might be modifications to specific operations in specific countries, because if you compare Oded Yanon to clean break, some of the nations listed change and some of the plans change a bit. But overall, it's the same strategy and the same plan. And it's the same reason why we did what we did in Iraq. It's the same reason why we did what we did in Syria. And it all ties back to 9/11. And cui bono, who gains from 9/11? Well, certainly not Americans and not the so-called petrodollar. Now, I do want to remind everybody that there will be a big debate this weekend, and this is hosted by a couple of Tucker's producers. And if you go to my X account, you'll see at the top of it, or very near the top of it, there is a live debate in Nashville this weekend. This will actually tie into some of the things that we're discussing right now, but I will be live debating 2 Freemasons, one of whom is Chase Geyser. You may have heard of.
What you mean? Go read them or do a show about them? About what? What you talking about, Copper Guy?
Chase Geyser. He's former InfoWars host. I think he's moved on to do other things. I'm not exactly sure what he's up to. Not criticizing him or dissing him, just saying we did agree to do a public formal debate with me versus him and his friend. And that will be live in Nashville this weekend. Saturday, April 18th at 6 p.m. And you can get tickets to that. It may be sold out, or it may be nearing sold out. It's not a massive venue. It probably holds 100, 150 people. But you can get those tickets if you go to my X account at the very top. And there's the image and the link. Now, to get back to the subject that we're discussing, which is the globalist turn, we can see that Leo has fallen on the side of the dialectic that's saying we need Chrislam. We need the alliance of Islam and Christianity. And again, he didn't just go visit mosques and say that mosques are spaces proper to the worship of God. He also signed another joint declaration with the imams there, signing what's called the Golden Book in one of the largest mosques there in Algiers. And this is relevant because we're beginning to see perhaps what Frank Herbert foresaw. Now, Frank Herbert was more than just a science fiction author, the author, of course, of the Dune series. He was also, at some level, I want to say, a neocon, perhaps, speechwriter for the GOP and for certain GOP elites. I think that's right. And he also studied quite a bit of perennial philosophy and syncretism and comparative religion. And he foresaw in those stories, if you're not aware, and Dune 3 is coming out very soon, by the way, he foresaw a union of Islam and Catholicism. Isn't that fascinating? And now what's being pushed openly is Chrislam by the Pope. We're going to talk about Dune, the predictive programming in Dune, and Chrislam when we come back after this break. This is the Alex Jones Show. I'm your guest host, Jay Dyer of jaysanalysis.com.
Now, coming up in just the next show, limited by support.
Jay Dyer of jaysanalysis.com. Be sure and follow me on X. You can also find my YouTube channel. I just hit 200,000 subscribers. So I want to remind you that we do cover this material, this type of material, and more on a regular, consistent basis. I do live streams almost every day or two on my channel. It's a lot of fun. We got a growing community over there. So come join me at Jay's Analysis or Jay Dyer on YouTube. We're talking about the move towards Chrislam, and I mentioned Frank Herbert and his background and the philosophy that he put into the Dune novels. And as the series progresses, it gets more and more wild and more abstract and esoteric, but also perhaps prophetic. Again, within the Dune story, we have not just this idea of a future where the AI takes over and eventually gets banned. They had to do what they called a Butlerian jihad against AI. But the reason they had to do a Butlerian jihad is also because there's a union between the Roman Catholic Church of the future and Islam. And they have a new Bible that's called the Orange Catholic Bible, which includes a lot of Sufi and Islamic indigenous sort of prayers. It's almost a kind of triad of syncretism of Islam, Sufism, and Catholicism and paganism altogether. And Frank Herbert, I think, foresaw the possibility that this might be a potential future religion. A future religion that could in some way perhaps prepare the way for the universe's super being, the Kwisatz Haderach, as it's called in the novel. We translate that into reality, that would of course be a kind of antichrist. Now remember, Islam is predicated on the idea that Allah has no sons and Christ is just a human man. He's merely a prophet, a good guy, but a mere prophet. According to 1 John, that's actually the spirit of Antichrist. To deny the deity of the Son of God in classical Christian theology for the last 2,000 years, and according to 1 John chapter 2, means that you really surrendered the essence of Christianity. This is why the First Ecumenical Council at Nicaea solidified the doctrine that the Son is homoousios, or equally divine with the Father. That means he's fully God. He is eternally begotten of the Father, and thus his natural sonship is the means by which we become sons of God through baptism. That's Paul's teaching in Galatians 3. So to deny those ideas would then be to put one outside of classical Christianity and, according to 1 John 2, of the spirit of Antichrist. So I understand that, for example, Tucker's idea is perhaps to drive a wedge between this plan that perhaps Zionist or Rabbinic Judaism has to use Islam as a way to go to war against the Christian West to wipe out what they consider Edom or Rome. But the problem is that you can't make an alliance with Antichrist against another Antichrist. We know that Rabbinic Judaism hates Christianity. It's open about that. It always has been in its Talmud and in its teachings codified since the 3rd, 4th, 5th century onwards. But it doesn't make Islam suddenly a friend of Christianity, because Islam appears to say that we're friendly and we have this shared idea that Jesus is a prophet and Mary is a virgin. Yeah, but Jesus isn't just a prophet. And to say that he's just a prophet is, again, an antichrist spirit, according to 1 John 2. So this is really fundamental to understand that you can't make an alliance with Antichrist as if you're going to join with Tony Soprano against the five families. It's not Christian. It's not Orthodox. It doesn't work. It's not going to be a feasible system. And Islam, for example, is all about child brides. It's all about all kinds of degenerate practices. And so the mask of morality that it has is really that. It's a mask. It's a performative religion. It's Sneeko going and praying in public and showing himself at Mecca on his phone so everybody sees him doing religious works. It's performative. It's not an internal transformation of the man by grace. That's why Islam is a religion of externals explicitly. And they also teach in the Quran that you have absolutely every right when you're in the minority to smile with your face, but hate them in your heart. And when it's strict Orthodox Islam, they believe that they have a duty to rid the world of idolaters, and including Trinitarians. If you believe in the Trinity, you're an idolater, according to Islam. So the nice face that many Muslims, cultural Muslims, secular society Muslims put on is a temporary face until they gain the upper hand, and then they believe that you are to be put under subjugation. The Quran actually teaches this, as do the Hadiths. It's not just the Quran, it's the Hadith traditions as well. And on top of that, we have to understand, which never gets brought up, except that now it begins to be brought up more on X because people keep sort of pushing the issue. Nobody's talking about the fact that the Muslim groups that are the most horrendous typically are the ones fostered by Western intelligence agencies like the CIA and the Mossad. They're the ones propping up people like Jilani, to take down Assad, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, etc. Those are all Western proxy groups. And I think the same thing is going on with probably with Boko Haram and those African groups that are terrorizing the Christians there. It's the same Western strategy of tension to fund and use these groups as proxies. So where was Pope Leo on any of that? If he wanted to call out the problems of America and the Trump administration and so forth, then he could go all the way back to funding and supporting radical Islam. But he did probably the worst possible thing, which was to say, actually, maybe we should be BFF with Islam. Maybe we need to buddy up with Islam. Maybe we need to let more migrants into Europe. This is insane. And the papacy itself, the Vatican has a giant Leonine wall built centuries ago around it to keep people out. I've been to the Vatican. When you go to the Vatican, there's Secret Service everywhere. It's preposterous. It's insane levels of hypocrisy, because they're not letting all of these migrants come live in the Vatican. I mean, I might listen to your moral virtue signaling and your moral blackmail if you actually operated this way. But they don't operate this way, and that's because the Vatican is a long captured institution. Who's it captured by? Well, turns out we've been lecturing through several elite books on my channel for a long time. For 10 years, we've lectured through the top elite establishment books. No one else does this. Mine is the only channel that consistently lectures through about 70 now in the last decade, top writings of the elite. And all of these books say exactly what they're doing. I just did a very long interview with the very popular musician and commenter Zuby. We did an hour-long interview today about who the elite are and how does Epstein give us a window into that power structure. Well, everybody's already forgot about Epstein. And the same oligarchs that are united with Epstein just met at Bilderberg. And what do they talk about? Were they talking about Trump memes and this and that? No. That's fodder for people to yap about and tweet about, which everybody will forget in a week anyway. But the oligarchical technocratic agenda keeps marching on because we don't look at those people and focus on those people running things behind the scene, but also in public. So they're semi-hidden and semi-public. And I think the elite figured out a while back that that's actually a better method than having a totally secret society way to run things or being totally out in public. Just make it semi-private, where you have public groups like Bilderberg, CFR, Trilateral, IMF, World Bank, Brookings Institute, on and on and on, RAND Corporation, thousands of think tanks, NGOs, foundations, steering committees. Those run things. And you notice you don't vote for any of them. They don't change. They stay there. The CFR was set up in the 1920s by the Rockefellers. Has anybody voted for the CFR? And yet, you've had countless CFR members be heads of the CIA, heads of the OSS, heads of every possible government agency you could think of. That's who is the permanent breakaway national security establishment that runs things. And you're always given to the fodder and the puppets and the people in the front that you think run things. And then you vote the rascals out and you get a new batch of rascals that do all the same stuff. And when are we going to figure out that nothing changes because the system is set up so that nothing changes? That's the reality of things. It's the old boy networks like the OSS and the CIA that we've been lecturing about on my channel. Again, no one else lectures to these books. Why are more people not coming and watching my channel and what I talk about? I don't understand. Everybody will watch every possible idiot influencer out there, but they won't come and listen to the elites themselves telling you how the world works and how they run things. And you might be surprised to know that they actually tell you everything in the books. And not just in these books, but also in the fiction books. Books like Dune, right? Dune 3 is coming out. Dune 3 seems to be pretty prophetic because it predicted a union of Catholicism and Islam. And we're seeing that play out right before our very eyes this very week. And it was mentioned in the Vatican II documents in the 1960s explicitly. So when we study these people and when we look at things like the Bilderberg Group, Daniel Esselin's classic book, of course, Esselin has been on Alex Jones countless times for 2 decades or more. I just did a lengthy interview with Daniel Esselin that will be going up pretty soon. And I talked to him about all of this, and we came to the same conclusion that Epstein is a window into elite organized crime structures that operate on an international Spectre level scale like you see in James Bond. Also this week, my really long in-depth interview on John Kiriaku's show will be going up. So I'd encourage you to go watch that because we went very deep as well. And I took a lot of these questions to John as probably, the most prominent CIA whistleblower who blew the whistle on the torture program and then was prosecuted by the Obama administration for doing that and went through quite a bit to be, persecuted for standing up for what was right. And I took a lot of these questions to John. I said, I want to know what you think. Do you think that I'm right when I give this analysis and when I talk about these elite texts and so forth? And he said, absolutely. I interviewed Colonel Douglas McGregor a while back, and we had the exact same conversation about the global elites and their plans. And he said, you're absolutely correct. WEF, Davos, all of these entities are pushing for this technocratic agenda. And it doesn't matter what politicians come and go. Those things don't change. Why? Because we're actually run by this supranational, international elite. A huge faction of it obviously is Zionist. And that's why things don't change. So we've got to focus on Bilderberg and we got to focus on CFR and trilateral and all these things because that's who really runs things. It's not Donald Trump calling the shots on everything, even though there's an appearance that Donald Trump calls the shots on everything. And Trump seems to think that he's infallible, impeccable, and he can't lose and he can only win. Well, pride goes before a fall. And God has a tendency to humble people who get extremely arrogant like that. So I don't hate Donald Trump or anything like that. I would like to see the country flourish. I'd like to see us get back on track where we were, prior to this last 8 months or year of going off the rails. So we got to look at Bilderberg. We got to look at the Federal Reserve because those are the entities that don't get voted out, that don't change. Doesn't matter if the Federal Reserve head comes and goes. The Federal Reserve itself is the problem. It controls and hijacks the nation and its productivity and its monetary power through the fiat fractional reserve banking system. And guess what? All of these books admit that. When Carol Quigley wrote Tragedy and Hope, he spent the first 200-300 pages talking about the fractional reserve banking system and how it controls the nations and how the Rothschilds figure out that that was a great way to, for example, in the 1700s through the Paribas system, control France. And then they expanded to the Bank of England. And they expanded elsewhere through proxies like JP Morgan. So this is the real power structure. It's not a conspiracy theory when they admit it in their books. It would be a theory if there wasn't evidence to back it up. It's not a theory when the people involved in it admit it. And we all know this from lower level criminal stuff, right? People know that criminals like to brag. They're very braggadocious. They're very narcissistic. They crave the attention and the praise from getting away with it. Serial killers, we know that serial killers do this. Well, guess what? People at the level of a Kissinger and a Brzezinski and these people, they do the same thing. It's just that they're smarter than Jeffrey Dahmer or any of these other people. They brag about it in their 500, 600 page books, which nobody reads. So they know that nobody's going to do anything and nobody's going to care, because most people are not going to speak out against something like that because they'll be perceived as oddballs, crazy, kooks, or whatever. So the CIA invented the term conspiracy theorist during the JFK event to castigate anyone who would question it as some immediate nutball. And that was all admitted and declassified recently, by the way, or readmitted via the JFK files. But, you know, we saw this turn, I think, with the JFK files, which is interesting that people have already forgotten about that one. When we saw James Jesus Angleton, the Israeliophile operative of the CIA, essentially kind of move what looks to be moved the CIA away from more of an Arab contact setting towards an Israeliophile setting. We know that, for example, under Angleton, there was a backdoor channel with the Mossad where a lot of those declassifications showed he was passing intelligence to them, unbeknownst even to the rest of the CIA. And that's because he had commitments to the World Zionist League at that time, thinking that that would be a way to win the Cold War. If they could get Israel on board with the CIA's approach, then they could defeat Stalin and the NKVD. That was the thought process or his reasoning there. But then what happens is that sort of puts you in league with that entity, and then you become more and more on the hook to Israel. And then what happens is, you know, we saw the JFK event, you see the rise of AIPAC after that, and then you see more and more influence on American foreign policy through those kinds of interests. So that's how we got into the dilemma that we're in. And to even talk about those things for so many decades was actually just a no-no. You couldn't even talk about that, much less think about it. And now we're seeing legislation being pushed, of course, to try to criminalize even mentioning or talking about that in various states in the United States. So that tells you right there that that's exactly what's going on. They wouldn't criminalize it if it wasn't a real problem and a real threat. So how do we get out from under this? Well, we got to figure out how to expose and not to be under international, unaccountable, unelected bureaucrats and NGOs and think tanks and foundations that have the ability to change laws and lawmakers through lobbying or whatever, or just bypass the law and do whatever they want because they're outside of regional law prosecution or whatever, right? International institutions have that power, that ability. They can escape, they can get away from regional prosecution. So we have to understand that we're under international control and influence that's not just located in one specific area or region. It's international corporations, international banks, and they hold countries hostage through things like IMF debt and IMF loans. And those loans come with stipulations that if you take that money, you're now beholden to a lot of Western ideas and Western power and influence. So once again, what is that? That's the banking system. That's the central banking, private banking model. That's the real locus of power. If they didn't have that, the rest of it would fall apart. But that's the real locus of power. And we still have not figured that out, right? People thought, oh, well, we got Doge in, and Doge is investigating USAID, and that's all great. But that's just one, arm of the leg of the octopus. And when you cut that one off,
man, Doge was another kind of fucking. Now, there's another show for the masses. Oh, look, they're gonna do something. Never mind, Doge. Get the hell out of here.
There's 20 other arms. So, yeah, it's good to cut one major funder and covert operations thing like USAID.
You're a tentacle too.
But they just create another one, right? So who though? Well, it's the head of the octopus. You can't just cut off one arm. It's the whole thing, right? You can't just cut off one of the heads, one of the snakes on Medusa's head. She'll just grow another one. It's Medusa's head itself, which is the oligarchical elite that I'm talking about. So people at Bilderberg, and the fact that there was only 3 people at Bilderberg protesting it and exposing it shows us that we haven't really come that far, unfortunately. Don't mean to be blackpilling. I'm just making the point that we want to change things. We want to fix things. Well, the technocratic agenda marches on, and Donald Trump was not a stop at all to that agenda. And they want a CBDC. They want a controlled digital universal fiat currency that the private central banks can snatch out of your wallet at any moment, your crypto wallet. I'm not talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about crypto CBDC, two totally different things. That's what they want. They want a centralized control mechanism, not a decentralized digital currency. That's why they don't like Bitcoin. And you saw, for example, even with Trump, right? We heard, oh, it's strategic Bitcoin reserve. Never happened. What do we get? Oh, let's have stable coins and a stable coin fiat reserve. But that's not what we originally heard about. We heard about Bitcoin, and that shifted over into stable coins. That's not Bitcoin. It's something else. So what's the overall plan? Well, we saw when Dan Dix did his report that Bilderberg wants to focus on AI and tech and control. You saw Palantir related people involved in that Bilderberg discussion. Again, stuff that Theo Vaughn has called out on various podcasts, stuff that has been, exposed as involved in all kinds of conflicts, surveillance, overstepping people's privacy, all part of an idea to create a tracking, tracing, total information awareness grid. And if you read a 0 to 1, Peter Thiel's book, he says that, this was all created for the NSA and for total control, supposedly to fight terror. Well, who's going to be the terrorists of the future? Who are they saying is the terrorists? Well, it turns out Klaus told us this in Cyber Polygon. He said, anyone in alternative media who questions the narratives. And when we have a Cyber Polygon, Klaus said, all of those who oppose the system's solutions are the terrorists. So that's who the terrorists are, anyone who's opposing the system. The NATO cognitive warfare document said the exact same thing. The future terrorists are those who oppose NATO's cognitive warfare, which includes drones, Skynet, implantable nanotech, etc., and the changing of the biology of the human itself through genetic experimentation and through gene therapies. Right, the NATO document says that those are the terrorists. If you oppose it, you're the terrorist. Not Al-Qaeda, not ISIS. That's not the terrorists of the future. The terrorists of the future are the masses who don't want this stuff shoved down their throat. So we cannot lose focus and lose sight on the fact that the socialist international Fabian technocracy is what will continue to march forward. That is the CBDC WEF plan. That's the Davos plan. That's the Bilderberg plan. They're the same. You've got people from Bilderberg going and being the political heads of Canada. Like, this is what's really going on. This is who's running things. And only 3 people were protesting it. That's insane to me. I remember years ago, and Alex said this to Dan Dix, there would be 4,000 people protesting Bilderberg. What has happened? Because Trump got elected, we suddenly have, none of those things matter. There is no Bilderberg anymore because Trump got elected. That's crazy. We totally lost sight of who's really running things because we have this sort of puppet show that gives the appearance of opposition, but it's like WWF, right? We can't forget that party politics itself will never really be a long-term solution. You might run as an independent or as a GOP locally and get elected and do some good. I'm not saying you can't do that, but I think at the national level, you have to understand that international politics is probably never going to change because it's essentially controlled by people with tremendous amounts of money, billionaires, right? Adelson level billions of dollars is what really calls the shots in DC politics, not, not Jimmy Stewart in that movie, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, right? Where Mr. Smith decides that the fat cats are corrupt in Washington, and why, by golly, he marches there and gets elected and gives them what for. Okay, that's not how it works. Okay, you don't do that. And I think in that movie, if you watch it, it's pretty funny. It's so unrealistic. He gets the Boy Scouts to help him print up papers that expose the corruption. I mean, it's almost absurd satire with how silly it is. No, we have to focus on Bilderberg. We have to think about the, when you watch Dune 3 when it comes out, I'm looking forward to it. But think about who's really running things behind the scene, right? Who are the Bene Gesserits? Who's really running Baron Harkonnen and the Emperor and all these people from the background? It's a shadow elite. And that shadow elite is an oligarchy that doesn't go away with this or that election. Be sure and go to the Alex Jones store and support Alex there and get all those products. And follow me, Jay Dyer, on all the social media outlets.
Everything I sell to you works. Obviously, that's the goal. So if you get it, and you like it, and you want to get it again. Everything I sell to you, we put deep research into, and I personally use. Now, I've been promoting zeolites for decades with great sponsors because they really work. I'm going to tell you what they are. Well, Bigly, our sponsor, has a really high-quality, private label, top-selling brand that we were able to private label we're bringing to you right now. With unprecedented toxins in the environment, with the chemtrailing, all the garbage in the food, it is more important than ever to take zeolites on a regular basis, but not all zeolites are created equal. This is really a high-quality zeolite. Please do your own research, and then go to the AlexJonesStore.com and secure our high-quality zeolite formula. Now let's go over just some of the incredible facts. We're swimming in toxins every single day. Metals from the air, chemicals in the food and water. Your body needs help binding and eliminating this garbage before it builds up and destroys your cells. Enter Zeolite Detox Defense, advanced binding agent. This isn't some gimmick. Zeolite is a naturally occurring volcanic mineral with a unique cage-like crystalline structure that acts like a molecular trap. Through ion exchange and absorption, it selectively grabs positively charged toxins, heavy metals, ammonia, and other unwanted compounds while letting beneficial minerals stay put. Then it escorts them straight out of your system through your gut. Paired with folic acid, it also supports healthy mineral transport and cleaner internal environment. Users report feeling lighter, more balanced, and clear-headed with consistent daily use. Just one dose a day gives you 60 full servings of detox support. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't steer you wrong. You know that. If you love our methylene blue, if you love our bovine colostrum, if you love the other incredible products like our T3 iodine, you are going to love this zeolite detox formula. Secure yours now at thealexjonesstore.com. And if you haven't checked out the other supplements like our methylene red, that's proprietary to us, our ultramethylene blue, that is on record the strongest and the best, then check it out today. And while you're there, check out the widest selection of Patriot apparel, baseball caps, t-shirts, hoodies, you name it, to spread the word of freedom in America and worldwide. Bottom line, thanks for keeping us on the air over the years. We're facing some of the biggest challenges ever to stay on the air, but thanks to you standing with us as our partners in the info war, we are stronger than ever. So thank you so much for your support. Now please visit the AlexJonesStore.com today. And if you want to get massive discounts on all the supplements, sign up as a subscriber, lock in your orders in the future. You can cancel anytime, so all you're really locking in is the massive discounts. Same thing with VIPs, cancel anytime, $30 a month, get $40 to spend in the store, special deals, special offers, special sales on everything. So if you're buying anything at the AlexJonesStore.com, you should be a VIP. Thank you so much for your support. Now secure your zeolite formula now at the AlexJonesStore.com. I know you're the big health guy. You're way better shape than I am. Don't kick my ass. I've seen you working out with the Liver King. You say you've taken methylene blue before. I want you to take our medical grade. It takes 30 minutes to kick in. So good for your body. I'd like you to drink this, Jay. You said earlier it would. I appreciate it. I want to get your true review. If it doesn't work, tell me. Here it is, brother. Cheers. It looks just like the stuff from Dune, the water of life. He's drinking the juice of a strangled, drowned sandworm right now. Baron Harkonnen is not happy. We're going to see what happens.
20 minutes later.
I feel like my brain is clearer and working faster. It feels like my brain and my energy have had the accelerator hit on them. I felt it in my brain and my energy.
Well,
I like it. I'm going to get me some before I leave.
We're going to give you a couple bottles of it, bro. We love it. It's amazing. Get yours now, thealexjonesstore.com.
That's about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about done with this for the night. I got shit to do on the rising. I gotta go see Mom Dukes, get her lined up with some supplements and whatnot. And I gotta go do a little batting practice. You know what I'm talking about? And then, do the daily shuffle. Yabba dooski. What I'm gonna get out of here on? Let me see. Let me get my guy. Now hold on. Hold up. Right on for sliding through this grand night. None of your business. Copper Goddess. Y'all on Rumble. Let me see. Who's them people on Rumble? Those dumb people on Rumble. I had quite a few people on Rumble tonight. What's happening? I don't remember the names. American Business for sliding on through. That first video was a humdinger. All right. Y'all rest well. Probably finna play me a couple of Jiminy Jams for a bounce. Yep, I sure is. Oh, hell no. I see this rant. Alex Jones responds to new attack from President Trump. Oh, I heard that shit. He was like, keep playing with me. Say one more thing, and I'll tell stuff you don't want me to tell. It's fucking hilarious. I'll play that shit another time. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Damn, it's raining hard as hell outside right now. Yeah. Wow. I start passing out on y'all and shit. Woo! Do I hear hell outside? Oh, no. Come on, man. Yikes. Anyway. It's time to say goodbye to all my Negro friends. Get that up. Always remember. Yeah, you heard me. Mm-hmm. Clown World Scoreboard. Let's see. We got here on two of my favorites. Yeah, go ahead and play that. CBP1. Them visas. I ain't forgot about digging into that Maryland shit either. And all them Barati Tatis. Them Barati Tatis. I ain't forgot about that. Oh shit, I got echoing. Barati Tatis. What's going on with this? Hold on. Don't start hating on my shit now. No, don't do that. Don't start hating on my shit now. What the hell going on? Huh? What is going on? You leave them Barati Tatis alone. I heard some niggas running around here looking for some Barati Tatis. You looking for Barati Tati? We get you a Barati Tati. Just for you. Just for you. A Barati Tati. Cut it out. Just wanna play some music. Damn. Quit hating. Quit hating. I just want to play some music. If y'all hear that shit. Take your ass to bed.
Trump had a 56 approval rating 8 months ago when Doge was roaring and Elon was there and all the rest of it. Now he's got a 30. He's lost 80% of his support. Republicans are going to lose the midterm massively coming up just 7 months. And even Susie Walls has told him that and told the press all that this needs to stop. But he doesn't care. He is committing political suicide for our own movement And he's turning against all the major pillars of the movement, blocking RFK Jr., trying to get rid of the poison shots all.
Oh, you gonna play that shit, huh? You gonna play that, but you ain't gonna play my shit, huh? Okay. Hold on. Let me see something.
All of a sudden, giving total liability protection to deadly glyphosate, Roundup. It goes on and on. So I don't support this new Trump. But this isn't about his attack on me. It's about the craziness of this when, even on his own Truth Social and in polls, it is wildly unpopular. And he has all these neocon sycophants that were his enemies and never Trumpers praising him and saying how great.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Mind missed. Let's go on the track. They flood the block with sugar. Yeah. Call it love in a bright red can. Doctor say pressure too high, my brother. But the corner got a 2-for-1 plan. They lace off school to sirens. Yeah, mad with those cameras on the keys. Guidance counselor juggling 30 broken stories. Yeah, meanwhile, prisons beating on beds. They said it's beer on the radio. Same crew chain, same dead screw. Tell a young empress she only worth a shake. Tell a young king he only worth a pill. This is math in the backroom ledger. Every life just a line of squeeze. Target market stamped on our faces. Low map mark, take what you please. Poison pushers in designer suits. Smile while with that clean white teeth. Demonic schemes in the ballroom hole. Turn our babies into balance sheets. American genocide. They dress it up nice. New war, new deals ain't nice. We numbers, we ain't your price. We calling out your American genocide. We calling out your American genocide. We calling out your American genocide. They turned out Harlem to a slogan. $1 man, you right by the church. Ashy playground broken swing set. Liquor store shining on every purse. They cut the bus line to blame us. When we late, when we can't clock in. Boss man talk about personal feelings. His cousin wrote the law we drowning in. They call it church when they poison water. Call it order when they flood our streets. Send more guns where the books are missing in. That's why we fight just to eat. They buy a culture, sell it back. Hollow paint our plane, that's a fashion trend. But the zip codes with the softest source still decide how I score in. Poison pushers in designer suits. Swear out with they clean white teeth. The money schemes in the ballroom hole. Turn our babies into balance sheets. American genocide. They dress it all nice. Do all new pills ain't nice. We don't win your pride. We calling out your American genocide. We calling out your American genocide. We calling out your American genocide. We know it's hard. My grandma kept the merch in the kitchen, quiet prayers over pipes and plans. She said, baby, read every label, they ain't feeding you. They feeding their plan. You playing greens in the cracks of the concrete. Teach our sons how to bring out boast. Tell our daughters they crowns ain't class, cause they much more fire than you post. We study law like we study scripture. Court ain't sunk like holidays. It's they wage war on the way that we leave them. We wage love in 1,000 ways. From the march to the PTA meeting, from the cipher to the passing mic. We 99s, we trace their money. Try the shadows in the light. Into the boys and pushers in the designer suits. Smile while wear that clean white team. The money schemes in the ballroom room. Tell our babies in the balance sheets. American genocide. They dress it all nice. New war, new pills ain't nice. We know playing Joe Bob. We calling out your American genocide. We calling out your American genocide. We calling out your American genocide. We live and do just America. We live and do just American genocide. It's that blueprint talk. Family first. Nation rise. Strong mama in the kitchen, head wrap, stand tall. Stretch a little pot, feed fire, that's y'all. Turn the food stamp line to a game plan. Scribble, baby, read that sign. Sound it out, break the riddle. Early in the morning, she up, eyes red. Packing little lunches, still making up the bed. Do your homework first, then you grab that phone. She the first safe place that the baby's ever known. Bills on the table, stress in the air, but she still find time just to braid up hair. Straight A's on the fridge, that's a crown on display. She say focus now, shine later, that's the way. Nation building 101. Start at home, strong mothers, focus kids. Mind stay grown, strong fathers, balance hands. Heart stay strong, get the family right, watch the whole hood come along. Nation building 101. Brick by brick, teach love, teach law, teach mind over quick. We don't beg for a throne, we just claim that seat. One house, one block, one nation on his feet, on his feet. Strong mama at the desk, late night class notes. Studying for nursing while she zip up coats. Baby at the table doing math, same grind. 2 generations locked on the same climb. She don't let them hide from the books, no slack. Check every answer, then you run it right back. Turn cartoons off, let a doc film play. Know where you from, then you know what to say. She clap for each win, still correcting each flaw. Teach them how to think, how to question every law. She don't raise little followers, she raising up a team. Every focused child start at somebody's dream. Nation building 101. Start at home, strong mothers, focus kids. Mind stay grown, strong fathers, balance hand. Heart stay strong, get the family right, watch the whole hood come along. Nation building 101. Brick by brick, teach love, teach law, teach mind over quick. We don't beg for a throne, we just claim that seat. One house, one block, one nation on his feet, on his feet. Strong daddy in the driveway, grease on his palms. Teaching little man how to tighten the arms. Hold that light steady, keep your word like that, yeah. Discipline with patience, never swing off cap. He correct, then he hug, that's the real backbone. Show a daughter how a king act, calm tone. Look him in the eyes when you speak, stand firm. Every choice got a cost, every loss gotta learn. He at every game, on the front bleacher. Then at night, open books, he a home teacher. Balanced in the spirit, he ain't ruled by rage. He just set clear lines like bars on a page. Nation building 101. Start at home, strong mothers, focus kids. Mind stay grown, strong fathers, balance hands. Heart stay strong, get the family right, watch the whole hood come along. Nation building 101. Brick by brick, teach love, teach law, teach mind over quick. We don't beg for a throne, we just claim that seat. One house, one block, one nation on his feet, on his feet, on his feet. On his feet. On his feet. On his feet. Teach love.
These niggas can't handle me. It ain't hard to see, that's why they all tryna damage me. But they can't get rid of me. I'm still out here running these streets, I'm still out here getting this green. But I move like a fantasy, can't let the feds know it's me. And these hoes still after me, cause they can't get enough of me. And they know that they can't replace me. But you can't be my wifey, I just want you for one night. Get on your knees, let's have a good time. And after that, we say goodbye. They say that they can't handle me. These niggas can't handle me. I know you can't handle me. Baby, you can't handle me. You can't handle me. Niggas can't handle me. Niggas can't handle me. I know you can't handle me. I know you can't handle me. Baby, you can't handle me. You can't handle me, baby, it's the energy. And I don't give a fuck about you niggas that be envy me. And I ain't fucking with no bitches that be acting friendly. You can't get no Benz keys, you ain't my wifey. Just come and please me. And after that you gotta leave me. I'm outside, baby, so you know I gotta keep heat. One in the head, cause you know I gotta stay on beat. They try to bring me down, but I'm never falling off. I ain't never fall off, I ain't never falling off. 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 They say that they can't handle me. These niggas can't handle me. I know you can't handle me. Baby, you can't handle me. Handle me, baby, you can't handle me. These niggas can't handle me. These niggas can't handle me. I know you can't handle me. Baby, you can't handle me. handle me. Baby, you can't handle me. These niggas can't handle me. I put a bounty on them. I'm out the country. If you need me, bitch, I stay in London. But I ain't never ducking. Still keep the 40 tucking. You won't get nothing from me unless you something for me. You ain't my shorty, and I ain't never lonely. So don't be blowing up my phone when you get horny. I'm not your homie. That's why you niggas so phony. Y'all so phony. That's why you niggas can't handle me.
Just don't once. Hey. Whole block shake. Yeah. Look up. Too late. I'm Godzilla in the middle of the city. Better get back. Get back. Get back. Big steps. Every little hater looking like a snake. Like a snake. Jaw wide, let it all fry, turn them into ash. King of the fall line. Every time I snap, that's a new crack. I'm Godzilla when I breathe, that's a siren in the sky. Whole crowd freeze when they look into my eyes. You can build walls, I'ma treat them like glass. King of the fault line. Every time I move, that's a world map. Crawled out the trench, skin still drip salt. Scars on my scales, whole life my fault now. Made for the quake and the chaos. Heartbeat drum, make the ground break sounds. You play tough, I play tight. You chase clout, I chase lightning. You want throne, but your bones too light. I use stones like stones when I skip them in the night. Footprint, whole block outline. Name ring out like a landline. You talk big, but your frame bite size. I chewed out, spit flames in your timeline. Godzilla in the middle of the city, better get back. Get back. Get back. Get back. Big steps, every little hater looking like a snack. Like a snack. Like a snack. Jaw wide, let it all fry, turn them into ash. King of the fall line. Every time I snap, that's a new crash. I'm Godzilla when I breathe, that's a siren in the sky. Whole crowd freeze when they look into my eyes. You can build walls, I'ma treat them like glass. King of the fault line. Every time I move, there's a world map. Yeah. You wanna roar like this, gotta live through the deep like this. Gotta sleep with a teeth like this. Whole life in a beast like this. Storm in my chest, I'm a walking reactor. Every step right a chapter. Waves in my wake, that's disaster. Still stand tall in the after that they drop bombs. I evolve on them, turn scars into armor, then stomp on them. Whole seat part when I crawl from it. I don't run from the smoke, I draw from it. Who you call when the sky turn red? Name on the hills, carved in dread. But I learned to love that fear. Every scream my cheer, yeah, I build my bed. So I storm for the kids who would call too much. Too loud, too big, too rough. If they say you a monster, good, go grow that tough. I'm Godzilla in the middle of the city, better get back. Get back. Get back. Get back. Big steps, every little hater looking like a snack. Like a snack. Like a snack. Jaw wide, let it all fry, turn them into ash. King of the fall line. Every time I snap, that's a new crash. I'm Godzilla when I breathe, that's a siren in the sky. Whole crowd freeze when they look into my eyes. You can build walls, I'ma treat them like glass. King of the fault line. Every time I move, that's a world map.
I
I ain't beefing with the demon, I confront the bitch. Every scar on my soul, yeah, I done it. Devil banging bass drum, working the drum kit. Mama praying in the pew, saying son quit. But I'm stitched from the cloth where you stand on shit. If I did dirt, then my word got my hands on the devil in my ear, selling dreams on a payment plan. Told me I could fly, but he hit the facts quicksand. Whole block worship what they can't own. Flexing face stones, renting fake thrones. I seen killers turn clown when the case closed. Talking about guys playing, they just hate growth. I wouldn't need deep gun tuck, heart froze. Spirit whisper, tell the truth for your soul. So had to kill the lie living in my own head. For the lie, put a mark on my forehead. The devil is a lie, I don't buy that. He talk big but he high, I don't like that. Put my life on the line for the right facts, rather down the truth than down the rat trap. Devil is a lie, I won't side up. If it ain't real, then the deal getting dry. I still be straight in my eyes, I don't write cap. If my tongue saved, then my backbone back there. I done broke bread with the crooked and the holy. Whistle in the trunk, speaking scripture through the song. That's the shaking hands, but his eyes looking phony. Devil wear cologne, smell rich, call your homie. Offer me a bag for my silence and my honor, trying to make me lie to my seed. But I'ma tell him about his mama, told him I'm a man. Not a product, not a comma, you can keep the chaos. I ain't chasing your drama, homie took the shortcut and I ain't short-lived. Told a lie so long that it walked him. Trying to paint his glass like a portrait, but the blood on his hands wrote the forfeit. I see snitches throw dirt on the dead name, crying in front of a headstone bearing his name. Talk loud, but they souls speak a dead slang. Got you like a truth walk, he don't need game. The devil is a lie, I don't buy that. He talk big, but he high, I don't like that. Put my life on the line for the right facts, rather down the truth than down the rat trap. The devil is a lie, I won't side. If it ain't real, then the deal getting dry. Still be straight in my eyes, I don't write cap. If my tongue say it, then my backbone back there. And tell me play along, you can shine more. Kept a little one, the body count crime low. Say you ain't a whole city, make them one war. Would I rather be small than a big fraud? My little cousin looking up like I'm scripture. What I say turn his choices to a mixture. If I glamorize the page in my stories, he gon' chase bars, never take glory. So I'm talking about the nights I was dead, bro. About the cold flows, about the stress smoke, about the friends in the ground who ain't get old, about the weight on my chest when I'm big cold. Truth cutter, bloody cream when sliced through. Fear talk cute, but it bite you. A devil in the deal, read the fine print. I just sound with the light, let my life in. The devil is a lie, I don't buy that. He's so big, but he high, I don't like that. Put my life on the line for the right facts, rather down the truth than down the rat track. The devil is a lie, I won't side up. If it ain't real, then the bill getting dry. Still be straight in my eyes, I don't write cat. If my tongue say it, then my backbone back there.
All right, y'all. Peace.